Section 22 of Poems by G. K. Chesterton, read for LibriVox.org by Phil Chenevert. The Kingdom of Heaven. Said the Lord God, build a house, build it in the gorge of death, found it in the throats of hell, where the lost sea muttereth, fires and whirlwinds, build it well. Labored sternly flame and wind, but a little, and they cry, Lord, we doubt of this thy will, we are blind, and murmur why, and the winds are murmuring still. Said the Lord God, build a house, cleave its treasure from the earth, with the jarring powers of hell strive with formless might and mirth, tribes and war-men, build it well. Then the raw red sons of men break the soil and lop the wood, but a little, and they shrill, Lord, we cannot view thy good, and the wild men clamor still. Said the Lord God, build a house, smoke and iron, spark and steam, speak and vote and buy and sell, let a new world throb and stream, seers and makers, build it well. Strove the cunning men and strong, but a little, and they cry, Lord, mayhap we are but clay, and we cannot know the why, and the wise men doubt today. Yet, though worn and deaf and blind, force and savage, king and seer, labor still, they know not why, at the dim foundation here, knead and plough, and think and ply, till at last, mayhaps hereon, fused of passion and accord, love its crown and peace its stay, rise the city of the Lord, that we darkly build today. End of section 22. This recording is in the public domain. Recording by Phil Chenevert.
The United States Armed Forces Radio Service presents the Theater Guild on the air. Every day, everywhere, every life is introduced to drama. Some of it we experience personally. Much of it we experience in our reading, in our viewing, in our listening. So it is that the Theater Guild on the air each week brings you an interesting dramatic presentation and a cast composed of prominent stage, screen, and radio personalities. Now, here is Elliott Reed.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. To all of us associated with the Theater Guild on the air, this is a moment of considerable satisfaction. For tonight, we present Alfred Lunt and Lynn Fontanne in the American radio premiere of George Bernard Shaw's comedy masterpiece, Pygmalion. For the theme of his comedy, Shaw reached back to the mythological tale of Pygmalion and Galatea, a childhood story, you remember, of the sculptor who brought a statue of a girl to life. In his play, Mr. Shaw, most ably abetted by Miss Fontanne and Mr. Lunt, shows us not a statue come to life, but a Cockney flower girl who was made to bloom by a gentleman. So, presto, we raise the curtain on Pygmalion, adapted for this occasion by Kenyon Nicholson and directed by Homer Fickett. If you heard someone say, I found a pail in a blue Paint Oyster, well, you might suspect that you were in Brooklyn. And if you heard someone say, he went that-a-way, pard, well, you'd place him from Texas. Just so, you'd know that you were in London if you heard someone say,
Violet, something's a bunch. Why, a flare up a poor gal.
And London is exactly where we are. And the speaker is Eliza Doolittle. The time is 11 o'clock on a night in May in the early 1900s. And Eliza has filled her flower basket at the great Covent Garden Market to sell when the theaters let out. But a sudden thunderstorm sends everyone running for shelter. Eliza joins a little group who huddle under the portico of a nearby church.
Oh, flare, mister. How about some nice fresh violets?
Violets? Not likely. Now, if it umbrellas you was sitting...
How you?
Yes, trade is slow for Eliza tonight. All anyone cares about is flagging a cab and getting home. In particular, two ladies in handsome evening dress, a mother and a daughter, who are peering out anxiously into the rain from the shelter of the steps. They see a young man come splashing towards them.
There he is, Clara.
Mother! Clara!
Oh, there's not a cab to be had for love or money. I went all the way to Charing Cross.
Oh, we could stay here all night. There's next to nothing on. Do try Trafalgar Square.
Go on, dear.
You'll find one. And do hurry for one.
All right, I'm going, but I shall simply get soaked.
That ain't Freddie. Look where you're going to. Yes.
Terribly sorry. Excuse me.
There's manners for you. 2 bunches of violets trodden in the mud. How do you know that my son's name is Freddie? Oh, he's your son, is he? Well, if you'd done your duty by him as a mother should, he'd know better than to spoil a poor girl's flowers and run away without paying. I heard you call him Freddie. Now, don't try to deceive me. Who's trying to deceive you? I call him Freddie or Charlie, just the same as you might yourself if you was talking to a stranger and wished to be pleasant.
But now we observe another figure in the group, a tall gentleman in a raincoat who leans against a pillar writing in a notebook. However, Liza is completely unaware of him.
Flowers? Violets? Nice flower for your buttonhole, Captain.
I'm sorry, miss. I'm afraid I've no small change.
I can change up to 2 shillings for you, Captain. Do buy a flower off a poor girl.
Up to 2 shillings for you, Captain.
Yes? What's that?
Fair flower for poor girl.
Oh, what's taking down my words for? I ain't done nothing wrong. I'm a respectable girl. Help me. I have a right to sell flowers, I am.
I say, what's the trouble?
What's me, it's a plain-clothes copper. In with a notebook.
Oh, please, sir, don't let them take me in. You don't know what it means to me. They'll take away my character and drive me on the streets for speaking to a gentleman.
You, sir, I beg your pardon.
Yes?
Really, if you are a detective, you need not begin protecting me against molestation by young women until I ask you.
You've no right to take away my character. My character's the same to me as any lady's.
There. Who's hurting you, you silly girl? Do I look like a policeman? How do you come to be up this way, so far east? You were born in Lissom Grove.
Oh, what harm is there in my leaving Lissom Grove? It wasn't fit for a pig to live in.
If you ain't a copper, what call have you to know about people what never meddle with you? You're a blooming busybody, that's what I say.
And how are all your people down at Hoxton?
Here, who told you my people come from Hoxton?
Never you mind, they did.
May
May I ask you, sir, do you do this for your living at a music hall?
Well, I thought of that. Perhaps I shall someday.
Can you tell me where I come from?
Yes, Cheltenham, Harrow, Cambridge, and India.
Quite right.
Sarah, look, the rain has stopped. We can walk to a motor bus.
Epsom, unmistakably.
What?
I beg your pardon, I didn't mean to say that out loud.
Very curious. I was brought up in Large Lady Park, near Epsom. Come, Sarah. Such an interesting man.
Good night, teacher.
How'd you do it, may I ask?
Simple phonetics. The science of speech. That's my profession. Now, you can spot an Irishman or a Yorkshireman by his brogue, but I can place any man within 6 miles. I can place him within 2 miles in London, sometimes within 2 streets.
Extraordinary.
Right, the people like that, would be like it
student of
himself.
dialects, and I...
Very well. Do you know Colonel Pickering, the author of Spoken Sanskrit?
I am Colonel Pickering. Who are you?
Henry Higgins, author of Higgins' Universal Alphabet.
Higgins, I came from India to meet you.
I was going to India to meet you. To be ashamed of himself, unmanly coward. Let him mind his own business and leave the poor girl alone.
Woman, cease detestable boo-hooing instantly. Remember that you're a human being with a soul and the divine gift of articulate speech, and don't sit there crooning like a bilious pigeon. Heavens, I must write that down.
Listen to him.
Oh, quite remarkable. If one didn't know your reputation, Higgins...
Pickering, you see this creature with her curbstone English? Would you believe that in 3 months I could pass her off as a duchess at an ambassador's reception? I could even get her a place as a lady's maid or a shop assistant, which requires even better English.
What's that? Why?
Yes, you squashed cabbage leaf, you incarnate insult to the English language. I could pass you off as the Queen of Sheba. What do you say to a bite of supper, Pickering?
Right you are.
You buy a flower card, gentlemen. I'm short for me lodging.
Lie, you told him you could change 2 shillings.
Ah, you ought to be stuck with nails, you ought to. I'll take the old blooming basket for 6 pence.
Colonel, I stand rebuked for Pharisaic want of charity. Here, girl, hold up your basket. And now, good night.
2 shillings? 4. 10 and 6 pence. Oh, it's another shilling.
Hello there. I say, miss, where are the 2 ladies that were here?
Oh, Freddie, they walked to the bus when the rain stopped.
And left me with a cab on my hands?
Oh, never mind, young man. I'm going home in a taxi. Here, driver, take me basket.
What's this? You're taking a cab?
Oh, taxi fare ain't no object to me, Charlie.
Like me, where to?
Buckingham Palace? Buckingham
Palace?
Yes, don't you know where that is, where the king lives? Good night, Freddie. Don't let me keep you standing there.
Well, I'm dashed.
Hear it? Hear it? It's a device that I worked out originally for the training staff of the Vienna State Opera. It reproduces the exact number of vibrations in any sound issuing from the human larynx.
Really amazing. I don't know when I've spent such a morning, Higgins. No doubt of it, science is mistress in this household.
Ably abetted by my housekeeper, Mrs. Pierce.
And there is no Mrs. Higgins?
No, nor likely to be. I find that the moment I let a woman into my life, she becomes jealous, exacting, suspicious, and a damned nuisance.
Well, I'm not married, but I must admit I'm susceptible.
Oh, I'm seasoned, Pickering. I've taught English to actresses and millionairesses, the best-looking women in the world, and they might as well be blocks of wood. I might as well be a block of wood.
Mr. Higgins.
Yes, Mrs. Pierce.
A young woman asked to see you, sir.
What does she want?
Well, sir, she says you'll be glad to see her when you know what she's come about.
Has she an interesting accent?
Something dreadful, sir. Really.
Good. Bring her in, Mrs. Pierce.
Well, for you to say, sir.
You know, there's rather a bit of luck, Pickering. We'll set her talking, and I'll show you how I make records.
This is a young woman, sir.
Good morning.
Why, this is the girl I jotted down last night. She's no use. I've got all the records I want of the Lissom Grove lingo. Be off with you. I don't want you.
Don't you be so saucy. You ain't heard what I come for yet. Did you tell him I'll come in a taxi, ma'am?
Nonsense, girl. What do you think a gentleman like Mr. Higgins cares what you come in?
Ooh, ain't we proud. We ain't above giving lessons, not him. I heard him say so. Well, I've come to have lessons, I have. And pay for them, too. Make no mistake.
Well, now, what do you expect me to say to you?
You was a gentleman. You'd ask me to sit down off it.
Pickering, shall we ask this baggage to sit down, or shall we throw her out of the window?
Ah, I won't be called a baggage.
No, he didn't mean that.
Won't you sit down, please? Take this chair.
Oh, I don't mind if I do, Captain.
What is it you want, miss?
I want to be a lady in a flower shop instead of selling on the curb in Tottenham Court Road. But they won't take me unless I can talk more genteel. He said he could teach me. Well, here I am, ready to pay him. I'm not asking any favour.
No, Pickering, this is almost irresistible.
Yeah, I thought you'd come off it when you saw a chance of getting back a bit of what you chucked at me last night. Confidentially, you'd had a drop too much, hadn't you?
What?
I'll pay you a shilling a time. And for teaching me my own language.
Pickering, do you realize what she's offering me? About 2/5 of what she earns every day for a lesson. It's enormous. It works out as fully equivalent to 50 or 60 pounds per lesson from a millionaire.
60 pounds? What you talking about? I never offered you 60 pounds. Where would I get 60 pounds?
Oh, don't cry, you silly girl. Nobody's going to touch your money.
Somebody's going to touch you with a broomstick if you don't stop sniveling. Here, now use this handkerchief. Now remember, that's your handkerchief, and that's your sleeve. Now don't mistake one for the other if you wish to become a lady in a shop.
Higgins, I'm interested. What about your claim last night that you could pass her off at an ambassador's reception? I'll bet you all the expenses of the experiment you can't do it, and I'll pay for the lessons.
Ah, you are real good. Thank you, Captain.
What do you say, Higgins?
I tell you, I'm extraordinarily tempted. Look at her. She's so deliciously low. So outrageously begrimed with the dirt of all 4 seasons on Tottenham Court Road.
I ain't dirty. I wash my hands and face before I come, I did.
What do you say, Higgins?
How long do you give me?
6 months.
Done. In 6 months and less, if she has a good ear and a quick tongue, I'll take her anywhere and pass her off as anything. We'll start today. Now, this moment. What's your name, girl?
Arthur Doolittle.
Mrs. Pierce, take her away and clean her. Use scouring powder if it won't come off in any other way. Now take all the clothes off and burn them. Now ring up one of the smart shops for some new dresses. Wrap her in brown paper until they come.
You're no gentleman. You're not to talk of such things. I'm a good girl, I am. I know what the likes of you are, I do. I never asked you for no dresses.
Excuse me, Higgins, but if this girl is to put herself in your hands for an experiment in teaching, she must understand thoroughly what she's doing. Now, if you'll allow me. Miss Doolittle,
Yeah, that's all you'll ever get out of Eliza. Oh, it's no use explaining. Give her orders.
Really, sir, you can't walk over everybody like this.
I walk over everybody. Why, I never had the slightest intention of walking over anyone. All I propose...
But what about her family, sir? Or suppose she's married?
Gad.
Yes, the girl very properly says, Gad.
Who's married? Me.
By George, Eliza, the streets will be strewn with the bodies of men shooting themselves for your sake before I've done with you.
Well, I'm leaving his office. Chumpy he is. I don't want no barmies teaching me.
That's right, girl. You go home to your mother and tell her to take better care of you.
I ain't got no mother. They told me at home I was big enough to earn my own living and turn me out. What turned me out was my 6th stepmother.
Well, there, Animal. What on earth is all the fuss about? The girl doesn't belong to anybody. Is of no use to anybody but me.
Oh, you are a brute.
Now, look here, Eliza. You are going to live here for the next 6 months learning how to speak beautifully. If you're good and do what you're told, you shall sleep in a proper bedroom and have lots to eat and money to buy chocolates and ride in taxis. If you are naughty and idle, you will sleep in the back kitchen among the black beetles and be walloped by Mrs. Pierce with a broomstick. At the end of 6 months, you shall go to Buckingham Palace in a carriage beautifully dressed. If the king finds out that you're not a lady, you will be taken by the police to the Tower of London, where your head will be cut off as a warning to other presumptuous flower girls. If you are not found out, you shall have a present of 7 and 6pence to start life with as a lady in a shop. If you refuse this offer, you will be the most ungrateful, wicked girl, and the angels will weep for you.
You're a great bully, you are. I won't stay here if I don't like it. I don't let nobody wallop me. I never asked to go to Buckingham Palace. I wouldn't go near the king. Not if he was going to cut me head off. I was never in trouble with the police. Not me.
I don't understand the gentleman. Come with me.
I've always been a good girl. I don't owe nobody nothing and I won't be put upon. I have my feelings the same as anybody else, and that's straight.
You know, Pickering, that girl has clearly got hold of the most extraordinary ideas about me. Here I am, a shy, diffident sort of man. And yet she's firmly persuaded that I'm an arbitrary, overbearing, bossing kind of person. I can't account for it.
Ow! I've never seen a bathroom like this. No wonder the rich are so clean. Washing's a treat for them.
You can make it as warm as you like. Now, take your things off.
You sure I won't catch me death? I knew a woman did it once every Saturday night, and she died of it.
May I come in, sir?
Yes, Mrs. Pierce.
If you please, Mr. Higgins, there's trouble beginning already. There's a dustman outside, Alfred Doolittle. Says you have his daughter here.
I say, send the blackguard in.
He may not be a blackguard.
Nonsense. Of course he's a blackguard, but he may have an interesting accent.
Oh, very well, sir. Oh, may I put Eliza in that Japanese kimono you brought? I really can't put her back into her old things after the bath, and the new things haven't come yet.
Anything you like.
Yes, sir.
Higgins, excuse the straight question, but I've been thinking. Are you a man of good character where women are concerned?
Have you ever met a man of good character where women are concerned?
Oh, come, you know what I mean. It's understood that no advantage is to be taken of the girl's position.
Her sacred, I assure you.
Doolittle, sir.
Yeah. Professor Higgins?
Yeah, good morning. Sit down.
Thank you, Governor. I come about a very serious matter, Governor.
Brought up in Hounslow. Mother Welsh, I should think.
Aye?
What do you want, Doolittle?
My daughter. That's what I want. Well, see?
I'm glad to see you have some spark of family feeling left. She's upstairs. Take her away at once.
What?
Well, you don't suppose anybody else wants her, do you?
Look here, Governor. Is this reasonable? Is it fairity to take advantage of a man like that? The girl belongs to me. You got her. Well, where do I come in?
You sent her here on purpose. This is a plot to extort money by threats. The police shall take you up, Alfred.
Have I asked you for a blouse, Martin? I'll leave it to the gentleman. Have I said a word about money? And I take me Bible oath I ain't seen the girl these 2 months past.
Then how'd you know she was here?
I'll tell you, Governor, if you'll only let me get a word in. I'm willing to tell you. I'm waiting to tell you. I'm wanting to tell you.
Pickering, this chap has a certain natural gift of rhetoric. Observe the rhythm of his native wood notes while.
Oh, please, Higgins.
Go ahead, Doolittle.
Thank you, Governor. Here's the story. I was taking me new time refreshment in a pub in Drury Lane when in comes Liza's landlady and told me what had happened. She said Liza sent a taxi back for some things. A few snapshots, a trifle of jewelry, a canary bird in cage. But she didn't want no clothes. Well, what was I to think from that, Governor, I ask you? What was my feelings and duty as a father?
So you came to rescue her from worse than death?
Mm-hmm. Just so, Governor. That's right.
Then why'd you let them send her luggage if you intended to take her away? Plain blackmail. Mrs. Pierce.
Yes, sir.
Eliza's father has come to take her away. Give her to him immediately.
He can't take her away, Mr. Higgins. You told me to burn her clothes.
That's right. I can't carry the girl through the streets like a blooming monkey, can I? I put it to you.
Well, that's reasonable.
Right, so let's discuss the old thing. You and me is men of the world, ain't we?
Oh, men of the world, are we? You'd better go, Mrs. Pierce.
I think so indeed, sir.
I think you ought to know, Mr. Doolittle, that Mr. Higgins' intentions are strictly honourable.
Of course they are, and to oblige a gentleman like him, I'd do a great deal, I do assure you. So I'll put it to you straight, for I can see that you're the straight-sort of gentleman. What's a £5 note to you? And what's Eliza to me?
£5? Do you mean to say that you're offering...
Have you no morals, man?
Don't say that, Governor. Don't look at it that way. What am I, Governors both? I ask you, what am I? I'm one of the undeserving poor, that's what. Now think of what that means to a man. It means he's up against middle-class morality all the time. If there's anything going and I put in for a bit of it, it's always the same answer. You're undeserving, so you can't have it. But my needs is just as great as the most deserving widow that ever got money out of 6 different charities in 1 week for the death of the same husband. I don't eat less hearty than him, and I drink a lot more. I want a bit of amusement, because I'm a thinking man. I want cheerfulness and a song and a band when I feel low. Well, they charge me just as much for everything as they charge the deserving. Therefore, I ask you, as 2 gentlemen, is £5 unreasonable? I'll put it to you, and I'll leave it to you. I ain't pretending to deserve it. I'm undeserving, and I mean to go on being undeserving. The £5 would be just one good spree for myself and the missus, giving pleasure to ourselves and employment to others. You couldn't spend it better.
Pickering, if we listen to this man another minute, we shall have no convictions left. Let's give him 10.
No, Governor. £10 is a lot of money. It makes a man feel prudent-like. And then, goodbye to happiness. You give me what I ask you, Governor.
They're waiting. Hello?
Morning, miss.
John, don't you know your own daughter?
Blimey, it's Eliza.
The Japanese dress it is, but the flowers in me ears, me own idea. Don't I look silly?
Eliza, by Jove, you...
Now, Mr. Higgins, please don't say anything to make the girl conceited about herself.
Oh, yes, quite right, Mrs. Pierce. You look extremely silly, Eliza.
Look all right with me, that's all.
Well, I never thought she'd clean up as good-looking as that. Oh, she's a credit to me, ain't she?
Doolittle, here's the sum in question.
Oh, thank you kindly, Governor.
Oh, he come here to touch her, did he? Disgraceful.
Now, you must come regularly to see your daughter. She'll need a father's advice, you know. My brother is a clergyman. He could help you in your talks with her.
Certainly, I'll come, Governor. Later on, perhaps, when my work don't tie me up. Meantime, Eliza, you just do what the gentleman tells you, or you'll hear from me. Goodbye, Governors.
This way.
You won't see him again in an hour. You'd as soon you set a bulldog on him as a clergyman.
Now, Eliza, here's your father.
He's a disgrace to me, driving a municipal Dutch cart and going about taking money out of people's pockets and putting it into his own. Aren't you going to call me Miss Doolittle anymore, Captain?
I beg your pardon, Miss Doolittle. It was a slip of the tongue.
I don't mind. It sounded so genteel.
Eliza, the new things have come for you to try on.
Higgins, we have taken on a stiff job.
Pickering, we have.
Is there some curiosity as to what Higgins' lessons to Eliza were like? Very well, listen.
Now, Eliza, repeat after me. Hurricanes hardly ever happen in Hampshire.
Hurricanes hardly ever happen in Hampshire.
No.
Hurricanes hardly ever happen in Hampshire.
There now, if you drop that H again, you shall be dragged around the room 3 times by the hair of your head.
I can't hear no difference except that it sounds more genteel when you say it.
Well, if you can hear the difference, then what the devil are you weeping for? Now, let's have some tea. By the way, when you go shopping today, buy me a necktie to go with that new suit of mine. You can choose the color.
I have already. It's in your top drawer.
And that is the sort of ordeal poor Eliza goes through every day for weeks. Now, Higgins thinks it is time for her to make a test appearance in polite society. We go to the beautiful apartment of the Dowager Mrs. Higgins on the Thames Embankment.
Mother, how are you?
Oh, Henry, what are you doing here today? It's my at-home day. Go away at once.
Oh, bother.
You promised not to come when I have guests. They stop coming whenever they meet you.
Well, I'm sorry, but I came on purpose. There's a job you must do for me. You're going to meet Eliza today.
Your flower girl? She's coming here.
She'll be here soon, in a taxi. Colonel Pickering has come with me to tell you what we want. Oh, come on in.
I hope we haven't intruded, Mrs. Higgins.
You haven't, Colonel. Perhaps you can tell me the exact state of this mysterious research of Henry's.
Well, it's getting on famously. I've been living at Henry's house for the experiment, and...
You see, Pickering and I have a sort of bet that I'll pass her off as a duchess at an ambassador's reception. Oh, you know, it's the most absorbing thing I've taken. She's quite filled our lives.
They're always talking Eliza.
Teaching Eliza.
Testing Eliza.
Inventing new Elizas. You know, she has the most extraordinary quickness of ear.
I assure you, my dear, it's like a
I'm sorry. When Pickering starts shouting, nobody can get a word in edgeways.
Henry, on what terms have you engaged this girl? Is she a servant at your house? If not, what is she?
Well, she's useful. She knows where my things are, remembers my appointments, and so forth. What difference does it make?
Oh, Henry, you simply don't think, do you?
As if I ever stopped thinking about the girl. I'm literally worn out watching her lips and her teeth and her tongue, not to mention her soul, which is the quaintest of the lot. Anyway, today we'll try her out and see what progress she's made.
My dear boy, I have told you I have guests.
Oh, that's all right. She has strict orders as to her behavior. She's to keep 2 subjects, the weather and everybody's health.
Oh, dear, there they are. Now, Aunt Smith is in the kitchen. Excuse me. In here. This is my son, Henry, Mrs. Ainsford Hill.
Oh, your celebrated son. I've so longed to meet you, Professor Higgins.
Go ahead.
My daughter, Clara. How do you do? This is exciting.
Well, I've seen you somewhere before. I haven't the ghost of a notion where, but I've heard your voice. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. You better sit down.
I'm sorry to say that my celebrated son has no manners. You mustn't mind him. That's Colonel Pickering by the window.
How do you do?
And this is Mr. Freddie Hill.
How do you do? I'll take my oath I've met you somewhere before, Freddie.
Oh, no, couldn't have.
Where was it? That must be Eliza. Will you excuse me?
Henry is the life and soul of the meetings of the Royal Academy of Science, but he's really rather trying on more commonplace occasions.
Oh, I much prefer people like him who come right out and say what they think. I need to say...
Miss Eliza Doolittle. My mother, Eliza.
How do you do, Mrs. Higgins? Mr. Higgins told me I might come.
Quite right. I'm very glad to see you.
Colonel Pickering, is it not?
Yes.
Mrs. Ainsford-Hill and Miss Ainsford-Hill and Freddie.
I say, I've certainly had the pleasure, Miss Doolittle, though I can't think where.
How do you do?
Let me move this chair for you, Miss Doolittle.
By George, yes, the storm at Covent Garden.
What did you say, dear?
Nothing. Nothing at all.
Isn't this nice? Yes. Isn't it?
By Jove. Yes, here we are.
Will it rain, do you think, Miss Doolittle? The shallow depression in the west of these islands is likely to move slowly in an easterly direction. There are no indications of any great change in the barometrical situation.
How awfully funny.
What is wrong with that, young man? I bet I got it right.
Killing.
I'm sure I hope it won't turn cold. There's so much influenza about. My aunt died of influenza. So they said. But it's my belief they'd done the old woman in. Done her in? Yes, Lord love you. Why should she die of influenza? She came through diphtheria right enough the year before. I saw her with my own eyes. Fairly blue with it she was. They all thought she was dead. But my father, he kept ladling gin down her throat. Till she came to so sudden, she bit the bowl off the spoon. Milk. What call would a woman with that strength in her have to die of influenza? What become of her new straw hat that should have come to me? Somebody pinched it. And what I say is, them as pinched it, done her in. What does doing her in mean?
Oh, that's the new small talk. To do a person in means to kill them.
Sure don't believe your aunt was killed. Do I not? Them she lived with would have killed her for a hat pin. Let alone a hat. It can't have been right for your father to pour spirits on her folks like that. Oh, gin was mother's milk to her. Besides, he poured so much of it down his own throat, he knew the good of it. Do you mean that he drank, my word, something chronic? On the breast, as you might say, from time to time. When he was out of work, my mother used to give him fourpence and tell him to go out and not come back until he'd drunk himself cheerful and loving-like. There's lots of women have to make their husbands drunk to make them fit to live with. Here, what are you sniggering at?
The new small talk. You do it so awfully well.
If I was doing it proper, what was you laughing at? Have I said anything I oughtn't?
Not at all, Miss Doolittle.
That's a mercy anyhow. What I always say is,
seems to be 5 o'clock.
Oh, so pleased to have met everyone. Goodbye, all.
Goodbye.
Are you walking across the park, Miss Doolittle? If so,
Walk? Not bloody likely. I'm going in a taxi.
Higgins, there are less than 3 weeks left before your 6 months are up. Now, if you wish, I can have 3 invitations to a reception for His Royal Highness. It will be at the Danish Embassy in a fortnight.
Mrs. Pierce, make appointments with the dressmakers, the hairdressers, the lingerie women, the manicurists, everyone. Eliza is going. What's taking Eliza so long in the cloakroom? We must go up.
Don't be nervous, Higgins.
Maestro! Maestro!
Now, what the devil?
You remember me, Maestro?
I do not.
But I am your pupil. Your first and best and greatest pupil. You teach me phonetic.
I am little Melchior, the marvelous boy. I speak 32 languages. Oh, you cannot forget me.
Melchior, what are you doing here among all these swells?
I am interpreter. I am indispensable at these great international parties. For instance, just now in the ballroom, there was a gentleman from one of the legations who was pretending that he cannot speak English.
Pretending?
He could not deceive me. This Balkan diplomat is actually the son of an East London watchmaker. He dare not utter a word of English without betraying his true origin to me. I shall see you later, maestro.
I say, can you find out Eliza, Higgins?
He's good, blast him. She'll see.
There she is, and positively radiant. Eliza!
Keep you waiting.
No, not at all. Are you ready to go and meet our hostess?
Pickering's your escort. I'll follow in a moment.
Are you nervous, Eliza? I feel exactly as I felt before my first battle.
Oh, it's not the first time for me, Colonel. I've done this 50 times, hundreds of times, in my little piggery in Drury Lane. Daydreams. I'm in a dream now. In the cloakroom, other women stared at me, and an old lady said my voice reminded her of the Marchioness of Salisbury.
Eliza.
Please, promise me not to let Professor Higgins wake me, for if he does, I shall forget everything and talk as I used to in Drury Lane. Give me your arm, Colonel.
Your Excellency. Wonderful. This is Miss Doolittle.
How does it feel, my dear?
How do you do?
Charming. Charming. I adore your gown. She will make a sensation, Colonel. Is she your adopted daughter?
Most kind of you, Your Excellency, to invite her for me. Come, Eliza.
Well, Melchior.
Yes, Your Excellency.
Find out all about that girl.
The Count of Gothenburg, Miss Eliza Doolittle.
How do you do?
And Sir Roger Taggart.
How do you do, Sir Roger?
Yes, Professor Higgins. Tell me all about that wonderful young lady, Professor.
What wonderful young lady, Your Excellency.
Oh, you know very well what is happening in that ballroom. People are standing on their chairs to look at her.
Your Excellency.
Oh, Mr. Melchior, have you found out about the Doolittle lady?
All about her. She is a fraud.
A fraud?
No. Yes. Her name cannot be Doolittle.
Why not?
Because that is an English name, and she is not English. Only titled foreigners who have been taught to speak English speak it perfectly.
And if she is not English, what is she?
Hungarian.
Did you speak to her in Hungarian?
I did. And she replied very cleverly, "Please speak to me in English. I do not understand French." She pretends not to know the difference between Hungarian and French. Impossible. She knows both.
Yeah, what makes you so sure?
Instinct, maestro. Only the Magyar race can produce those eyes, that figure, that air of divine right. She is a princess.
I say she's an ordinary London girl taught to speak by an expert. I place her in Drury Lane.
Oh, you are mad, maestro.
Oh, of course, I agree with the Baron. She must be a princess, at least.
I say, Higgins.
Will you excuse me, Your Excellency?
Step over here, old man, and look in the ballroom. There. She has won your bet 10 times over.
Oh, great Scott. She's dancing with His Royal Highness.
What a night. What a triumph.
Rubbish. Silly tomfoolery. I tell you, Pickering, I create no more artificial duchesses. Eliza, turn out the light when you go up and tell Mrs. Pierce I'll take coffee, not tea, in the morning.
Is that all you want to tell me? Nothing else?
Have I forgotten something? Well, remind me tomorrow.
You know, Eliza, you didn't seem a bit nervous all night.
Oh, I knew she'd win hands down after the first few minutes. It's the strain of all these months that's told on me. Thank God, it's over.
Well, I'm turning in. Good night, Eliza. Pleasant dreams.
Eliza, I should think you'd be ready to remove all that finery and retire. I say, what the devil have I done with my slippers? I know I left them here this evening.
Your slippers. Here's one, and here's the other. Take your slippers, and may you never have a day's luck with them.
Eliza, why did you throw those slippers at me?
Because I wanted to smash your face, you selfish brute. I could scratch your eyes out.
No,
Why
Paul,
did you leave me where to pick me out of in the gutter? What's to become of me now? What have you left me fit for? I'm laughing in all this, not so much as them slippers.
Those slippers?
Those slippers, what difference does it make now? I've won your bet for you. And now...
You won it, I won it.
Where am I to go to now? What am I fit for? What have you left me fit for?
Oh, that's what's worrying you. Well, you won't have much difficulty settling yourself, so I hadn't quite realized you'd be going away.
You don't care. I know you don't care.
Now, Eliza, pick an hour. Think of something you might marry, you know. You were what I'd call quite attractive. That is, to those in the marrying line. I dare say my mother would find some chap or other who'd do you very well.
Yes, we were above that at the corner of Tottenham Court Road.
What do you mean?
I sold flowers. I didn't sell myself.
Oh, tough.
Now you've made a lady of me. I'm not fit to sell anything else.
Pious humbug. Now go to bed like a good girl and sleep it off. Have a little cry and say your prayers. That'll make you comfortable.
Yes, I heard your prayers. Thank God it's all over. Before you go up, do my clothes belong to me or to you and Colonel Pickering?
Well, now, what the devil would we do with them?
Oh, you might want them for the next girl you pick up to experiment on.
Oh, so that's the way you feel. Why, you ungrateful, I ought to wring your neck.
You'd like to hit me, wouldn't you, you darn...
You infamous creature. It is you who have hit me, wounded me to the heart, caused me to lose my temper, a thing that has hardly ever happened to me before. I'll say nothing more tonight, except to confound my own folly for having lavished the pleasure of my regard and intimacy on a heartless gutter snipe. Good night.
I won't be trampled. I won't be talked down. I'll show him.
Now it is the next morning at Henry's mother's apartment.
Mother, thank heavens you're home. Look here. Here's a confounded thing.
Yes, Henry, dear. Good morning, Colonel Pickering. What is it?
Well, you see, Mrs. Higgins...
Eliza's bolted.
You don't say.
Last night, her bed wasn't slept in. What are we to do?
Without, I'm afraid, Henry. Girl has the perfect right to go where she chooses.
But I can't find anything. I don't know what my appointment's. Well, I don't know what I've got. We simply have got to locate a pick. We've got to go and call the police.
Police? Oh, you've no more sense, either of you, than two children. Come into the drawing room. There's a gentleman there to see you. He was sent on from your house.
Oh, bother. I can't see anyone now. Who is it?
You'll see.
Yes, sir. What can I...
Good morning, Henry.
Why, Doolittle, it's you.
It's me, all right, Colonel. Though I can't say I blame you not knowing me in these togs. Look at this frock coat. Look at this silk hat. That's what you've done to me, Henry Higgins.
Aye, what I've done to you.
Ruined me. Destroyed me happiness. Tied me up and delivered me into the hands of middle-class morality.
You're mad. I gave you £5. After that, I had 2 conversations with you at £0.5 an hour.
Did you or did you not write a letter to an old blighter in America that was given $5 million to found moral reform societies all over the world? And that wanted you to invent a universal language for him?
Ezra D. Wanafella. He's dead.
Yes, he's dead, and I'm done for. Didn't you write him that the most original moralist in England, to the best of your knowledge, was Alfred Doolittle, a common dustman?
Well, after you allowed it, I remember making some silly joke with
That's a silly joke, and he leaves me £3,000 a year on condition I lecture for his Wanafella Moral Reform League. As often as they ask me, up to 6 times a year.
The devil it is.
Yeah, it ain't the lecturing I mind. I'll lecture him blue in the face, I will. It's making a gentleman of me that I object to. I was happy, I was free. Now, I'm tied neck and heels, and everybody touches me for money. A year ago, I hadn't a relative in the world except 2 or 3 that wouldn't speak to me. Now I'm 50. I have to live for others and not for myself. That's middle-class morality.
Well, at least this solves the problem of Eliza's future. Her father can provide for her now.
Nonsense. He shan't provide for her. She doesn't belong to him. Doolittle, I paid you £5, sir.
Well, you certainly can't expect her to return to Wimpole Street, Henry.
And why not?
Well, suppose I ring and let her explain it to you herself.
You mean to say you have her here, Mrs. Higgins? Oh, ripping.
Eliza came to me this morning.
She passed the night partly walking about in a rage and partly trying to throw herself into the Thames. She told me of the brutal way you treated her, Henry.
I treated her. She bashed my slippers at my head.
I should have thrown the fire tongs at you. Yesterday, when the great day of trial came and she did this wonderful thing for you, you didn't thank her, or pet her, or admire her, or tell her how splendid she'd been.
I didn't make any pretty speeches to her, if that's what you mean. No.
Mr. Doolittle, would you be good enough to step out on the balcony for just a moment until she's made up with these?
As you wish, lady. Anything to help Henry to keep her off my hands.
Perhaps you were a bit thoughtless, Mrs. Higgins. Is she angry?
She says she's quite willing to meet you on friendly terms and to let bygones be bygones.
Oh, is she, by George?
Did you want me, Mrs. Higgins?
Eliza, dear.
Eliza?
How do you do, Professor Higgins? Are you quite well?
Am I?
So glad to see you again, Colonel Pickering. Quite chilly this morning, isn't it?
How dare you try this game on me? I created her out of the squashed cabbage leaves of Covent Garden, and now she pretends to play the lady with me. Now, come on, Eliza, don't be a fool.
Very nicely put indeed, Henry. No woman could resist such an invitation.
Colonel Pickering, I'm only a squashed cabbage leaf, but I owe so much to you that I should be very unhappy if you forgot me. Do you know what began my real education?
What?
Your calling me Miss Doolittle that day when I first came to Wimpole Street. I should like you to call me Eliza. Now, if you would.
Thank you, Eliza.
And I should like Professor Higgins to call me Miss Doolittle.
Please don't grind your teeth, Henry.
By George, I say let her go. Let her find out how she can get along without us. She'll relapse into the gutter in 3 weeks without me at her elbow.
I don't believe I could utter one of the old sounds again. Last night, while I was wandering about, a girl spoke to me. I tried to get back into the old way with her, but it was no use. I've forgotten my own language.
May I come in now, ma'am?
Oh, victory.
Now, Higgins, can you blame the girl? Don't look at me like that, Eliza. These clothes ain't my fault. I've come into some money.
Well, you must have touched a millionaire this time, Dad.
I have. But I've dressed up for something special today. Your stepmother is going to marry me.
You're going to let yourself down to marry that low, common woman.
At St. George's, Hanover Square. Won't you come and see me turned off, Eliza?
I'm getting frightened for my pains?
Ah, don't be afraid. She never comes to words with anyone now, poor woman. Middle-class morality has claimed another victim. Respectability has broke all the spirit out of her. It would be a tremendous compliment if you all came.
Oh, well, just to show there's no ill feeling, Dad.
Eliza, I wish to speak to you for a moment.
You can come in the brougham with me, Eliza. Colonel Pickering will go on with the bridegroom. Excuse me while I order the carriage.
Bridegroom. What a word. Well, so long, Henry.
Good luck, old man.
See you in St. George's, Eliza.
Well, Eliza, you've had a bit of your own back, as you call it. Now, are you going to be reasonable?
You want me back only to pick up your slippers and put up with your tempers and fetch and carry for you.
If you come back, I shall treat you just as I've always treated you. My manners are no different from Colonel Pickering.
Oh, that's not true. He treats a flower girl as if she was a duchess.
And I treat a duchess as if she were a flower girl. All right, Eliza, I can do without you. I can do without anybody. I have my own soul, my own spark of divine fire. But I shall miss you, Eliza. I've grown accustomed to your voice and appearance. I like them, rather.
Well, you have both of them on your gramophone and in your book of photographs. When you feel lonely without me, you can turn the machine on. Got no feelings to hurt.
Eliza, you're an idiot. What is it you want? Do you want me to be infatuated with you?
No, that isn't what I want. I've always had chaps who wanted me that way. Freddie Hill writes me 2 and 3 times a day. Sheets and sheets.
Insolent puppy. You had no right to encourage him. I won't have my masterpiece thrown away on a Freddie. If you dare take one step in
I want a little kindness. I know I'm a common, ignorant girl, and you a book-learned gentleman, but I'm not dirt under your feet. What I done, what I did, was not for the dresses and the taxes. I did it because we were pleasant together, and I came to care for you. Not to want you to make love to me and not forgetting the difference between us, but more friendly like.
Well, if you can't stand the coldness of my sort of life, go back to the gutter. It's real, it's warm, it's violent.
That's no answer to give me.
If you can't appreciate what you've got, you'd better get what you can appreciate. Marry some sentimental hog or other with lots of money. And a thick pair of lips to kiss you with, and a thick pair of boots to kick you with.
I can't talk to you. You turn everything against me. You know very well I can't go back to the gutter, as you call it. Now, you think I've nowhere else to go but father's. But don't you be too sure you have me under your feet to be trampled on and talked down. I can be independent of you. Yes. I know what I'll do. I'll go and be a teacher.
What do you teach them?
What you taught me, I'll teach phonetics.
You try that, and I'll wring your neck.
Oh, what do I care? What a fool I was not to think of it before. You can't take away the knowledge you gave me. You said I had a finer ear than you. And I can be civil and kind to people, which is more than you can. Aha! That's done, Reagans, it has.
You impudent hussy, by George, Eliza, I said I'd make a woman of you, and I have. 5 minutes ago, you were like a millstone around my neck. Now you're a tower of strength. I'd like you like this.
Yeah, you turn round and make up to me now that I'm not afraid of you and can do without you. I'm going to the carriage. Are you coming?
Certainly not. To a wedding.
Very well, then, Professor. I shall not see you again. Goodbye.
Oh, by the way, Eliza, on your way home, buy me a pair of reindeer gloves, number 8s. You can choose the color.
Buy them yourself.
Won't see me again.
Number 8s are too small for you. If you want them lined, you'll need number 9s. You'll need number 9s.
9?
9.
9.
Escape. It's time to escape into the world of adventure. Time to forget for the next half hour the four walls of today and escape beyond the horizons of the mind to yesterday and tomorrow. CBS and its affiliated stations present Escape. Tonight, we escape with Rudyard Kipling and the two gentle scoundrels he created in his immortal story, The Man Who Would Be King. The time, sometime before yesterday. The place, the north of India. The man who tells the story, Rudyard Kipling.
One Saturday night, it was my unpleasant duty to put the paper to bed alone. It was a pitchy black night, as stifling as night can be in India in June. It was very still, save for the ticking of the clock above my desk, which seemed to shatter the black heat of the night as the hands crept toward 3 a.m. And then from the passage outside my door,
Hey, Peachy.
I heard voices.
Your light burning. And he must be here. Open the door.
Who's there?
Only us.
Who are you?
He don't remember us, Dan.
That he don't. How could he forget having us turned back at the Jodhpur border? Told the authorities we was impersonating newspaper reporters, he did.
Wait. That flaming red beard and that bald head. Why, you're Daniel Dravett and Peachy Carnahan.
The same.
Well, what do you want? If it's money, I haven't any. If it's a fight, it's simply too beastly hot.
You can rest yourself easy, sir, because we've come asking for naught except some information.
We've been all over this country, and we've concluded that India isn't big enough for such as Daniel and me.
So we're going away to be kings.
Kings in our own divine right.
What?
Aye, we shall be kings.
We've signed a solemn contract, each to help the other And neither of us will take a look at liquor or women until we become kings.
Why, I've never heard of such a fantastic idea. But what is it you want of me?
Naught but to look at such maps of Kafiristan as you might have about.
Maps of Kafiristan?
That's where we've decided to go.
But don't you realize that not one single Englishman has ever gone into the Kafiristan mountains and lived to come out again? If you're really mad enough to go there, you're a good deal more likely to become dead men than kings.
We shall see.
Anyway, I don't believe you have the slightest intention of traveling a mile outside of Delhi.
Then you should come down to the Serai marketplace in the morning, down where the caravans leave for the north.
Yes, come down to the Serai in the morning and see then if we be liars. Oh, thieves, robbers, liars, the blessing of Pir Khan upon all pigs, dogs, and perjurers. Who will take the protection of heaven to the north?
You should not laugh at him, Sahib. The witless are under the protection of Allah.
Quite so, boy. Who is the fellow anyway?
A mad priest, Sahib, who has arrived only this morning from Ajmer.
Yes, Sahib. Come to look at my camels, loaded with toys to please the eye of an Amir.
Oh, here now. Go about your business. I haven't any use for toys.
These are wondrous toys indeed, Sahib. Fit for a king of Kafiristan.
What? Good Lord. Daniel Dravett.
Quiet. Come along. I've 2 camels just beyond the wall here. The blessings of Pir Khan on the gracious Sahib, who consents to look at the poor toys of a priest from Ajmer. Over this way.
Where's Carnahan?
Here we are. Permit me to present my servant, Hazir Mir Khan.
At your service, goodman.
Well, I'll be...
Do you like our disguises? Do they pass?
If they fool this crowd in the Serai, they're probably good enough to get you across the border and good enough to get you killed.
Getting killed is no part of the contract Peachy and me drawed up, although perhaps killing fits in with our plans in a different sense. Feel around underneath the toys there in the camel bags.
What?
Go ahead.
Good Lord. Rifles.
20 brand new martinis with ammunition to match.
And 20 good reasons to make your death certain. Any Pathan of the hill tribes would kill his own mother to get a rifle.
Now who would harm a poor mad priest, Sahib? Allah protects me.
Mad is right.
Then so was Lord Clive and Rhodes and Bonaparte. Drive out the camels, Peachy. We've a long way to go before we become kings.
Hey, up!
As I stood and listened to the camel bells fade away in the distance, I wondered if it might not be a glorious thing to go to Kafiristan and be a king. 3 years pass in India much as they pass in any other land. It grows hot, then the rains come, and then the heat again. Some colonel at a hill station puts down an uprising. A new viceroy comes out from London, and the paper duly records the death of a sultan in Rajputana, and the trees in the courtyard grow a few feet taller. Finally, time in its circle turned up another night, much like the one 3 years before. Once again, I sat alone in the office, listening to the clock and waiting for some unimportant item to come over the wire from Europe. It was long after midnight when my office door slowly opened. I say, look here, you might knock first, you know.
Knock.
Good Lord, man. What's wrong?
You don't know who I am, do you?
No, I haven't the faintest idea. But here, you'd better sit down, old fellow. You're in a bad way.
Yes. Thank you. It's a whole year I've been walking. Right here in this very office we settled it. You sitting right there and giving us the maps. You've been sitting there ever since. 3 years.
No. Oh, no. Why, a man couldn't change that much in 3 years. You're not Peachy Carnahan.
Yes. I was king of Kafiristan. Me and Daniel Dravit. Real crown kings we was. Just as true as gospel.
What in the name of heaven have they done to you, Peachy?
Peachy? I knew Peachy Carnahan once. He's a king. Wears a real golden crown on his head, so help me, he does. He's dead now, though.
No. You're Peachy Carnahan. You must pull yourself together, man.
Yes. Pull myself. You got to keep looking into my eyes. Then maybe everything won't go to pieces.
All right. Now, tell me what happened, Peachy.
We left the caravan at Jagdala. We struck off into the hills alone.
Go on.
Weeks it was we travelled, Daniel and me. First there wasn't no roads, and after a while, no food. But there was always the drums. Sometimes they was close, and sometimes farther off. But most of the time we could hear them somewhere.
Way up! Move along up! Here now, it's no place to be stopping. Up with you.
I'm fearing it's no use, Daniel.
What's got into them?
The poor beasts are done in and starved, same as ourselves. They'll go no further.
Then we'll go on without them. I've not come this far to die on the side of a mountain.
Wait. Look, Daniel. Over the edge of the rocks.
What? Oh, men they are.
There'll be a score or more of them. One goes ahead of the rest.
And naught but bows and arrows. Break out a pair of the rifles, Peachy.
Right you are, Daniel.
It's now that we start to become kings.
Here, and some cartridges, too.
Easy now, Peachy. I'll drop the straggler at the rear first, and then we'll lay a few at their feet. No harm to the one in front. We may need him. Now. Got him by the old neck! Lay on, Peachy!
Hold it, Daniel! Look at them!
Aye, flat on their blooming faces.
The leader is come out alone.
Well and good, and we'll go part way to meet him, Peachy, but keep your rifle by.
Look at him, Daniel. He be as fair as us, with yellow hair.
So he does. Part of the lost tribes, these people are.
He stopped.
I await your command, O ye who speak in the voice of thunder.
Oh, the Lord Harry. Peachy, we're in luck. It's the old Afghan tongue he speaks. Speak up! Who are you, and whence do you come?
I am High Priest and the chief of the village of Bashkai. A journey of only a few heartbeats.
This Bashkai, how many people?
They are numbered in the thousands.
There are more villages in the hills?
More than a man has fingers and toes.
Hear that, Peachy? Here's our kingdom made to order. And you're going to take us to Bashkai. Do you understand?
I understand the voice of thunder that you speak.
Oh, he's a smooth one, Peachy. He knows a thing or two. What's your name?
Mazur Khan Jagdalur.
That's too long. What shall we call him, Peachy?
He has a look about him of an old soldiering friend of ours. Billy Fish.
So he does. We bestow a new name on you. From now on, you will be Billy Fish.
As you command, I obey.
All right. Put this on your drums. Tell them 2 kings have come out from the mountaintops. 2 kings that speak in words of thunder so the earth trembles. Tell them 2 kings have come to Kafiristan. That you, Peachy?
Daniel, why be you sitting here in the dark?
I've been thinking. A man has to stop and think sometimes.
About anything special, Daniel?
Look at 'em, Peachy. Look at their blinking campfires a-gleaming in the dark like the jewels in a crown.
Aye, Daniel. You've done a fine job for sure. All 23 villages you joined together as one.
'Tis the army you trained to be thanked for it. 2,000 men with a fair knowledge of bearing arms.
Some's a bit green at it yet.
They're ours now, every man, jack, woman, and child. We own 'em, body and soul.
Aye, we're kings now, Daniel. Not proper kings yet, but we will be.
Sooner than you think, Peachy.
How's that?
Billy Fish told me something today that fair amazed me. These people know the craft.
You mean they're Freemasons, Daniel? It ain't no wise possible.
So help me, it's gospel true. He give me the grip and everything. It's old, the craft is, older than the memory of man. And up here in the hills, they've been preserving it all these years. Why, some of the high priests know up through the fellow craft, but they don't know the 3rd degree. See it, Peachy? They don't know the 3rd degree, but we do.
Daniel, what is it you're fixing to do?
We're going to be proper kings. We're going to get 'em going and coming now. I'm going to turn the whole country into one grand lodge, raise some of the priests to 3rd degree, and for me, I'll be the Grand Master of Kafiristan.
Oh, but you ain't got the right to. We never been officers in no lodge.
Right? What's a king got to do with asking for a right?
Oh, I'm against it, Daniel. It's no good to go fooling around with the craft.
Ah, you talk like an old woman. The thing'll work, I know it will. We'll make it a blooming ceremony. Regular aprons with the symbol and the marks. All of us, Peachy. The kings of Kafiristan.
Everything is prepared, Master. And the priests and the people wait.
Well, they don't have to wait much longer, Billy. Here now, Peachy. How do you like my apron?
It's a wondrous sight for fair, Daniel.
Made of white ermine skin it is, and the master's mark with emeralds studded.
The mark? You know the meaning of the mark?
That I do. What's got into you, Billy?
Not. But 'tis a thing that's passing strange, Master.
Strange and rubbish. Come along now. Ready, Peachy?
Right with you, Daniel.
Then out we go. Onto the temple steps. We'll give 'em what for. Knock their blinking eyes out. That's what we'll do. Look at 'em, Peachy! Right down on their blooming knees and yelling their full heads off.
Oh, it's a good thing to be a king, Daniel.
The mark! Behold! The mark!
Tis a sign.
The promised ones have come.
Here now. What's wrong with the priest, Billy?
It looks like trouble, Daniel.
No. Stand where you are, Master. They recognize the mark.
That great stone in the floor. Why do they turn it over?
Wait.
It's the same!
He bears the mark.
The promised ones have come.
Speak up, Billy Fish. What's the meaning of it?
See for yourself. Look.
Daniel. Carved on the back of the stone.
'Tis the master's mark, all right.
And the same as the sign you wear. Only a few of the priests have known of the hidden mark on the stone.
What does it mean?
The many who have doubted you were a god doubt no longer.
And you, Billy? What do you think?
I, Master? I think that now it is the time for these.
Daniel. Golden crowns.
Aye, how they glitter. Fit for the brow of a king.
'Tis what we came for.
Here now, put 'em on. We'll crown ourselves in our own right. Listen to 'em. You know something, Peachy? We come here to be kings, and that we are, all right. But blamed if we ain't a couple of blooming gods to boot, with 1,000,000 people bowing on their knees before us.
Well enough, Peachy. So it was gods you became as well as kings. But then, what happened? What became of Daniel Dravot?
Dravot? I knew Daniel Dravot once. He's a king now, Daniel is. Wears a golden crown. Canaan was with him.
Peachy, try to pull yourself together.
I'll try.
Now, you became kings, you and Daniel. kings of all Kafiristan.
He was a fine figure, Daniel was, with his red head wearing that golden crown. Kept himself aloof from the people, so to speak. And when he walked afore the temple, they fair crawled on their stomachs to worship him.
But what happened, man?
Happened? Well, I figure mostly it was winter coming on. The winds were starting up, and the clouds was blowing down from the north. Oh, it could blow beastly cold, that winter wind.
Hey? Who's out there? That you, Billy? Confound it anyway. Here now. What's this?
I have brought you food, Master. Stew of the wire sheep with curry and rice.
Up off your knees, girl. Bring it inside.
Thank you, Master.
Place it there. Now, you're a well-favored wench.
I do not understand.
Why were you crawling on your knees?
'Tis a fitting way to approach the god of Kafiristan.
What's your name, girl?
Marum of Danger.
Marum, eh? You married?
It has not yet been my happy fortune, Master.
Are you afraid of me?
You are a god.
I mean, how do I seem to you? Do you find me pleasing or what?
Your face is more wondrous than the noonday sun. And your look, the look of eagles.
Very well, you may leave now.
Thank you, Master.
Marum, eh? Peachy! Peachy!
Is you calling me, Daniel? Oh, the food's here, eh? Good.
Knock that wind outside. Winter's about due to strike and fill the trails with snow. There'll be little moving about afore spring.
Right you are.
Peachy, I've decided to take a wife.
But you can't do it, Daniel. We made a contract.
That was till we was kings. Well, kings we've been many months now.
Oh, but it's no good. I tell you now, I'm against it.
Against it? You was against using the craft, too. But look what it done for us.
Oh, but this is different. Billy Fish will tell you no, too, the same as I do.
Billy Fish, huh? Who's the king here, him or me? My mind's made up. 3 days from now, I shall have me a wife. And you can put it on the drums and tell every blighter out there in the hills. The kingdom of Kafiristan is going to have a queen. What's keeping her, Peachy? They should have brought her in here half an hour ago.
I don't know, Daniel.
How about you, Billy Fish? You put 'em up to stalling off deliberate-like?
Certain preparations must be made, Master.
She's across the court with some of the priests. Maybe they're trying to hearten her up a bit, Daniel. She thinks she's going to die, you know.
Die, indeed. Why, I'm only...
Master, it is against the laws of heaven for a woman to marry a god.
I'm not a god. I'm a man. You know that by now, Billy.
No, and I should not want to think so, Master. But either way, this can mean only trouble. I beg you to reconsider.
And I beg you to shut up, Billy. I'm through waiting. I'm going over there.
Master, please.
We got to go with him, Billy. And I'm thinking it's going to mean trouble. How many men can you depend on?
No more than 20 with rifles. Most of my men are in Bashkai.
Then what should we do?
We shall have to make a run for it, I fear. We might be safe in Bashkai.
Come on now, you buckling fools. Bring out the girl. Well, now, that's better. Here, girl, this is no way for a bride to behave. Just smile now and give us a kiss. Oh! The wench has bitten me.
Bloodmaster, don't let them see the blood.
Look! See the blood! It's not a god or a devil, but only a man!
Here, blasted, what is this, Rob?
It is too late.
Mark, Daniel, they're coming with knives.
They can't do this. I'm the king.
We've got to run for it, Master.
Ah, come on, Daniel, come on.
I'll come back and beat their blasted heads in. That's what I'll do.
Oh, Daniel, we'll be back all right.
How much further, Billy?
Only a short way beyond this ridge, Master.
Well, so far, so good. At last, them blooming drums are stopped.
We're at the top, Daniel.
A right good climb it's been.
Wait. Look. It seems the drums have come before us, Master.
Cut off. No less than 1,000 of them standing there quiet-like, with them wicked long knives in their hands.
There'll be no getting past them, Daniel.
No. We are done for. Go back, Billy Fish, and take your men away with you. Go with him, Peachy. It's me they want. I did it. Me, the king.
No, Dan. I'm sticking with you. Billy Fish, you clear out.
I am your friend. I stay with you.
You're a good man, Billy.
They be coming now, Daniel.
Peachy.
Forget it, Daniel. I forgive you freely and fully.
Then let them come. There'll be one thing they can't change, Peachy. We've been kings. Kings in our own right. Kings of all Kafiristan.
Sliced open poor Billy Fish like a bloomin' Ellen they did. There in the snow and the rocks.
Good Lord, man. But you, Peachy, you got away from them.
Like nowhere did I get away from them. They had us for fair, all right. Strung me out on a tree. Drove nails right through my hands, they did. See? But I fooled them all right. 'Cause morning came, I wasn't nowise dead. And then I made them think I'd lost my senses. They was afraid to harm me because I was protected by Allah. They cut me down then, and after a while, they let me go.
You poor devil. But what of Drabbit? What happened to Daniel?
Daniel's the king. He wears the golden crown.
But now, what happened to him?
He's never left me. All them long months walking on the road back, he kept me safe. The mountains, they danced at night. But Daniel held up his hands and Peachy came along, bent double. I never let go of Daniel's hand, nor Daniel's head that they gave me in the temple as a present. It's with me now, here, in this bundle. You knew old Daniel's, him that was a monarch once. Look at him now. Well, and now you've seen that we was really kings. I'll be on my way. You'll pardon me, sir?
I let him go. There was little else to do. He was only hours away from his death. I sat there and stared at the bundle he had left lying on my desk. Stared as the pale shafts of dawn struck fire in the red beard. Stared at the golden crown, sitting too large and heavy upon the wrinkled, mummified head of Daniel Dravot, the man who would be king.
Escape is produced and directed by William N. Robeson. Tonight's story, Rudyard Kipling's The Man Who Would Be King, was adapted for radio by Les Crutchfield and featured Raymond Lawrence as Peachy, Eric Snowden as Daniel Dravot, and Herbert Rawlinson as Kipling. Musical effects were created and conducted by Cy Fewer. Next week, CBS and its affiliated stations invite you to escape in Operation Fleur-de-Lis, an episode from the files of the OSS. And so, good night, until a week from tonight, when again we invite you to escape. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Architecture is the most practical and most dangerous of the arts. All the other arts we have to live with. There are things we have to live with, and some have even said, as regards some kinds of music and painting, that they are things they could live without. But architecture is not a thing only that we have to live with, it is a thing we have to live in. We live with it as Jonah lived with the whale. Jonah could not see the monster, and there is a great deal to be said for living in the most hideous house you can see in the landscape, as that is the one place where you will be unable to see it. I have before me 2 or 3 very interesting books dealing with architecture. The first impression made by all these books is that architecture is at this moment in a very queer condition, much queerer than at any other period. We all know this, in a way, about what may be called practical architecture, especially domestic architecture. Now, in the past, there have been broadly 2 main social systems: slavery and a rough peasant equality. Most men's houses or huts or whatnot have either been made by themselves because they had timber or clay or what was needed, or they have been made by their masters for them. The Eskimo made his own house of snow, and the Irish peasant generally made his own cabin of mud or peat, which was the real root of his sense of the injustice of landlordism. On the other hand, Uncle Tom's cabin was presumably built for Uncle Tom, and most English cottages were built by squires, and testify to their traditionalism, their carelessness, and their natural instinct for the picturesque. But with the growth of modern towns and the reign of specialists, a very strange situation has arisen. For most people, the houses exist before the householders. Those rows of new villas in the suburbs are built for anybody, that is, nobody. William Morris, thinking of rabbit hutches, called them man hutches. But they really wait more like man traps. They wait for the man who shall come, or not, as the case may be. Only in the case of the wealthy, the householder exists before the house. The rich man has to kick his heels in hotels and horrid places, while an architect is building his house. Now, the speculative builders do not know what people would really like. So they build all the houses exactly the same in a style that nobody could like very much, so as to be fair all round. In the second case, the millionaire can, of course, tell the architect what sort of house he would like. The architect listens sympathetically and then goes away and designs something totally different, which the millionaire is obliged to accept because he is afraid of people suggesting that he knows nothing about art, which is indeed the case. In both these cases, you will note, a specialist does exactly what he likes. There is nothing to show that suburban people really like suburban villas. Indeed, I strongly suspect that most of the satire against suburban villas is written in suburban villas. There is nothing to show that Mr. Mugg, who made his money in pork, likes the aerial perspective of a new architectural style of steel and glass. And he, poor devil, is a more miserable captive than the other, for he cannot write in the papers abusing the ugliness of his own house, and the suburban clerk can. Now, all this is to say what most of these books largely agree in saying, that there is not any modern style that is popular, in the sense that most people like to look at it, let alone that most people would naturally try to build it. A very sensible and well-balanced little book called How to Look at Buildings by Darcy Bradall, Messewin, 6 shillings, makes this point all the more pointedly because it is not in any sense a controversial book. It does not profess to go so deep, for example, as another and larger volume called Purpose and Admiration by J. Barton, Christopher's 10 and 6, of which I shall speak in a moment. But the smaller handbook makes this point very clear, for example, by a comparison with the 18th century. The 18th century was ruled throughout by the classical style, and as we shall see when we come to consider Pugin and Ruskin, many held rightly that this classicism was narrow and cold. But even its narrowness was broad, in the sense that it was as broad as the whole people. As Mr. Bradall writes, in the 18th century all were agreed that as far as they were concerned, classic architecture was vastly superior to what seemed to them the rude barbarities of Tudor and Jacobean architecture. Today, we have none of that. Today, that is, we have things that a few people admire, and we have things that a lot of people put up with. But we have not anything that can be called the taste of the age, which in the 18th century would make a banker and a bankrupt and a crossing sweeper, and even a poor wretched artist or architect, agree that the old Bank of England was a suitable and elegant erection. Lord Crew, ladies and gentlemen, you will be very naturally puzzled by my occupying any space, let alone so much space, in this somewhat crowded, but very distinguished assembly. And you will naturally ask why any words of mine need be added to the distinguished and beautiful words of that great veteran genius of literature whom we have the honor of having with us today. More especially as I have no kind of claim to deal with the things with which he has dealt. I do not know the dominions as he knows them. I have traveled here and there in the miserable character of one giving lectures, but not otherwise. And I have no special reason for claiming to express a hospitality towards Canadians which would be expressed by every person in the street outside as enthusiastically as by me. Let me say then, quite briefly, that my reason for accepting this invitation and for being here today is quite simply a desire to return hospitality. I remember that I was received by this great Canadian Literary Society when I first appeared in the great American city where I first lectured, with a hospitality for which I shall never be able to give sufficient thanks. And I think we shall all agree that whatever controversies or arguments rage about the character of what used to be called colonial life, at least the ancient human traditional virtue of hospitality is there, flamboyant and magnificent in a degree almost unknown in our more fatigued society. All I know was that the Canadian Literary Society rushed out, as it were, full of hospitality, wanting to welcome anybody from England, any stray traveler. In the confusion of the moment, I was mistaken for a literary man and dragged in to partake of that glorious camaraderie. I didn't know what to do. I thought of trying to explain that I was a lecturer, but that wouldn't do, because some of them had been to my lecture. Then I thought, could I say I was a journalist? But I was quite sure that would not go down. God forbid that I should commit so ghastly an error as for doing what I well know to be the one unpardonable sin of confusing for a single moment the two great commonwealths that occupy the northern continent of America. But I think it is true to say that the ideal of a pressman, that the strenuous virtue required of a journalist, is somewhat similar in Canada and in the United States. A pressman means a very different sort of person from me. One glance at me would show that I had never crashed through a skylight in order to interview a celebrity, that I had not slid through a door that was almost shut in my face by somebody who wanted to keep me out of his bedroom, that I had never performed any of those things that are the glory of journalism in the great world beyond the sea. Therefore, I was, as I say, in despair, and I had to pretend to be a literary man for the rest of that occasion. And I grieve that it is necessary to continue that pretense, even for this brief luncheon hour. And one of the first necessities of the pretense, of course, is to talk about things you do not understand. One of which is Canada, so far as I am concerned. But may I say this? In addition to having experienced what nobody, not a dog or cat and hardly a vegetable, could fail to appreciate, the magnificent cordiality and courtesy of the Canadians considered as hosts, I had also seen, brief as was my visit, something else, and that was Canada. I've been twice in Canada. Once about 12 years ago, when I merely crossed the border from America. It was in the earlier days of Prohibition. It gives me a peculiar sense of gratification that though I, who have said almost as much in abuse of the British Empire or British government as Mr. Kipling has said in praise of them, I'm glad to say, enough of an Englishman to say that it gives me a glow of pride to think that twice in the same 100 years men have escaped from the American Republic to Canada to find freedom. I was not exactly like the poor black people who swam across the river or whatever they did in Uncle Tom's cabin. Many could point out differences between us. But the principle was still the same, that it is certainly true that in both cases there had been maintained under the English flag the tradition of freedom. There is another thing, however, that I should like to say which concerns my second visit. The first time, as I say, I merely escaped like an ordinary fugitive slave or runaway nigger across the border. And I didn't know very much about Canada, because you don't know much about Canada if you merely go into it at that end. Every nation has a back door and a front door. And with Canada, the front door is the back door. The last time I went, I sailed up the St. Lawrence. That most magnificent and glorious of all entries to any civilization or any domain. A thing that truly opens a new world. And then I knew that the Canadians had the foundations of all literature and culture in them, because they had truly and indeed a country. I'm not going to describe that country. That is your business. You are Canadian literary men. But you saw at once that there was that kind of vast natural background which is necessary to the growth of literary creation. And the other thing which I think is needed for all literature, and is perhaps the key to the difficulty that some have found about the literature of the new countries. I do not say myself at all that it is a real difficulty, and far less an insuperable difficulty. But it is a difficulty that many critics would raise, I think, who understand such problems. At the back of all literature there must be legend. A thing must grow out of something, probably entirely false in the sense of mythical. Not entirely false, but largely false. For instance, I should say that the story of the Mayflower, as commonly told, is almost entirely false. But it is a legend. It lives. It has done things. And anybody sailing up the St. Lawrence will see where the legend of Canada begins, that is behind all literature. And I cannot tell you, least of all in this brief and inadequate speech what my feelings were when I mounted to those heights of Abraham, where the great battle was fought, and where I will not say pleased, for those words are foolish, I was uplifted in the worthy sense in which great poetry or great music or even great mathematics or philosophy uplift a man, by finding that upon that crest they had set up a monument in noble Latin, in the original international language of Christian men, which commemorated together the names of James Wolfe and of Montcalm. And I remembered that great French gentleman who died in arms, and that bourgeois boy of genius, the most generous and full of the most genial fighting spirit of all the heroes of England, alone to be named with Nelson. He whose statue still stands swinging a saber somewhat awkwardly in his statue in the little town of Westerham where he was born. That those two great heroes are celebrated together in the universal language of Europe upon the height that is called the height of Abraham, upon the battlefield. That is what I call a legend, and that should be the beginning of literature. I have great pleasure in seconding this toast.
The toast is the Canadian Authors Association, coupled with the name of Dr. Dykeford.
But while I should resist the suggestion that we must eat beef without mustard, I do recognize that there is now a more subtle danger, that men may want to eat mustard without beef. I mean that they may lose their appetite for beef and bread and cheese, and depend entirely on spices and condiments. I myself have even been blamed for defending the spices of life against what was called the simple life. I have been blamed for making myself a champion of beer and skittles. Fortunately, if I was a champion of skittles, there was never any danger of my being a champion at skittles. Somehow I never could aim at skittles with that precision with which I could aim at beer. But I have played ordinary games like skittles, always badly. But all healthy people will agree that you never enjoy a game till you enjoy being beaten at the game. I have even played golf in Scotland before Arthur Balfour brought it to England, and it became a fashion and then a religion. My difficulty since has been that I cannot manage to regard a game as a religion. The horrid secret of my failure is that I never could quite see the difference between the cricket and golf, as I played them when I was a boy, and the puss in the corner and honey pots, as I played them when I was a child. Perhaps those nursery games are now forgotten. Anyhow, I will not reveal what good games they were, lest they should become fashionable. If once they are taken seriously, in that most serious world, the world of sport, enormous results will follow. Gamages will sell a special shaped slipper, perhaps the slipper. or a caddy will follow the player with a bag full of 15 different slippers. Money pots will be made out of honey pots, and there will be a corner in Puss in the Corner. Anyhow, I have enjoyed, like everybody else, these sports and spices of life. But I am convinced that neither in your special spices nor in mine, neither in honey pots nor quart pots, neither in mustard nor music nor any other distraction from life, is the secret we are all seeking, the secret of enjoying life. All our world will end in despair unless there is some way of making the mind itself, the ordinary thoughts we have at ordinary times, more happy than they seem to be just now, to judge by most modern novels and poems. You have got to be happy in those quiet moments when you remember that you are alive.
The CBS Radio Mystery Theater presents... Come in. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall. Probably the greatest English writer of the last century who wrote with two words in mind, could be, is the novelist H.G. Wells. Wells has lifted our imaginations with The First Man on the Moon, The War of the Worlds, The Invisible Man, and so on. With extraordinary resourcefulness and creativity, he has brought life to the incredible. And today we have taken his words from the page and placed them in your ear so that you may actually believe you are in the outlandish world of H.G. Wells.
Professor Lidgett, can you make out the school desks and the school children?
Yes, I can. And I do.
From here they look phosphorescent. Luminous, don't they?
They do look strange, Plattner. And that explosion blew us a considerable distance away. I must get back to the school and take charge.
Oh, Professor Lidgett, I don't think that'll be possible.
Why not, indeed?
Because I think that you and I are dead.
Our mystery drama, Watchers of the Living, adapted from a story by H.G. Wells, was written especially for the Mystery Theater by James Agate, Jr., and stars Tony Roberts. I'll be back shortly with Act One.
Come in. Oh, great master, I have traveled far to seek your wisdom. Speak to me.
Close the door. It's cold.
Sir, I crave the meaning of life.
How do you earn your bread, my son?
Well,
do you till the soil?
No.
Do you tend sheep?
I'm in advertising, sir. Advertising.
Fascinating.
Yes, sir, I'm in a big hurry. I have to be in Fiji tomorrow to shoot a television commercial.
Fiji?
Yeah, we found a place there that looks exactly like Columbus, Ohio.
Why not go to Columbus, Ohio?
Look, I'm just here for some wisdom.
All right, let me check my wisdom book, see what we can
thank
find.
You. Yeah.
Go with radio.
What?
Looks to me like a fantastic buy.
I wanted important wisdom.
This is important. Listen, newspaper cost per thousand is up 99% since 1967. TV is up 90%,
sir.
But radio cost is only up 38%.
38%.
And it says radio's audience is bigger than ever.
But what about happiness and stuff?
Use radio. It's great impact at a price you can still afford, and you'll be very happy.
That's it?
Yeah. And when you go out, close the door real tight, because it's cold in here and I got a runny nose.
If you want to talk to an authority on advertising, call us. We're 97 WFLA.
Here's a tip from your Better Business Bureau. Are you in the market for a used car? If you are, it would be wise to shop around until you get a feel for the market. It's important for you to find out if the car is covered by a warranty. A used car warranty is limited. For example, it may cover the first 1,000 miles or 30 days. Remember, however, the warranty is as good as the dealer who backs it. And you check his reliability with your local Better Business Bureau. Also, remember that careful inspection is the key to enjoying a used car. Be sure and look for rust. Check the tires, the shock absorbers, and the operating controls. And incidentally, it's also a good idea to take a test drive. You see, by giving the car the once-over before you buy it, you're protecting yourself against a faulty purchase and a lot of headaches after you've bought it. This has been a tip from your Better Business Bureau.
What'll it be this time, Mr. Wells? Mars colliding with Earth? A machine to put you into another century? The problems of loving and living when no one can see you? None of the above? Something completely different? Yes, it is. In fact, in the 90 years of science fiction that followed where H.G. Wells blazed a trail, no one has ever attempted to duplicate the story we tell you now.
My name is Fred Plattner. I'm 27. My mother and father passed away when I was 10. I'm a teacher at a small school in Sussexville. So small that one teacher has to do the work of 5. Too much work for too little pay. Last week, I heard of a great summer job in town, lifeguard on Sandy Beach. To apply, I first had to get a physical checkup.
Mr. Plattner, I do not have good news for you.
I'm sick, Dr. Bendener?
No, I wouldn't say that. Not sick, but strange.
You mean when you examined me, you found
I didn't want to say anything until I had the x-rays, but I can tell you this. In all my years of general practice, I have never seen a body like yours.
Well, will I live?
Who knows? Before I show you the x-rays, tell me, young man, why do you want to be a lifeguard? I understand you have an eminently scholarly position as a teacher.
Well, that's what everyone tells me, Doctor. But there's no money in it now and no future in it tomorrow.
What do you teach?
What don't I teach? Bookkeeping, geography, modern languages, and chemistry, which Dr. Lidgett, our former principal, threw at me about a month ago.
Aye, all those subjects. You must have a vast knowledge.
No, I don't. But since my students begin by knowing nothing, all I have to do is bone up from day to day and stay one lesson ahead.
What an extraordinary way to run a school.
In a town of 1,000 persons and 1.25 children per household, I was told by Professor Lidgett, the principal, there was no alternative. There are 2 other teachers besides myself, and that's it. On my present salary, I can hardly save a cent. But if I pass the physical and get this lifeguard position, I could clear $300 this summer.
I wish I could help you, Mr. Plattner, but the facts don't help me. Let me show you. Look at these, your x-rays. First, notice your heart beats on the right side of your body. Now look at this plate. That is the right lobe of your liver. However, it's on the left side, and the left lobe is on the right side. Tell me, have you noticed any changes in yourself lately?
Well, now that you mention it, I have been finding it sort of difficult to write straight across a page the way I used to.
You've stopped writing? How do you correct papers?
Using my left hand and writing across the paper from right to left.
Anything else, Mr. Plattner, out of the ordinary?
Well, I was never very good at sports, but now I can't throw a ball with my right hand at all.
With your left?
Not far. And sometimes I get confused at meal times, trying to find my knife and fork. I've caught myself quite often trying to cut my meat with my fork and putting it into my mouth with my knife. I'm backwards. Is that it?
What should be on your right side is on your left.
You're sure I haven't always been that way?
I asked myself the same question. So I got out your old x-rays from Dr. Jonas's files. The last time you came for a checkup, everything was in its proper place.
I wonder...
I have a theory, Mr. Plattner, which is not easy to substantiate, how this might have occurred to a person. But my theory could hardly apply to you.
It couldn't?
There's a mathematical hypothesis that the only way a solid body can be changed is by taking that body clean out of space, as we know it, and inverting it.
Oh, my gosh.
Much further into space than any astronauts have ever gone. Of course, into the fourth dimension, in fact. But that is a theory, and you, Mr. Plattner, are a fact. Obviously, your internal exchange of left for right was not the result of any voyages into the fourth dimension.
Oh, but they are. I mean, they could be.
You have made such a trip?
I have. I was hoping to keep it a secret.
My dear young man, look, getting a job this summer as a lifeguard isn't that important.
Oh, but I did. 2 weeks ago. I mean, I returned from wherever I was 2 weeks ago. Didn't you hear about my disappearing from the school? You see, that's where I must have been. In that fourth dimension.
Mr. Plattner, you're not feeling chilly or flushed, are you?
No, I'm fine.
So you took a trip into space, did you?
Well, I don't know where I was, but I certainly wasn't in Sussexville.
Mr. Plattner, I imagine the tests have been a bit exhausting, so if you'll come into the next room, you just stretch out on this couch, close your eyes, and rest up a bit.
But I'm not tired.
For your own sake, I think lying down won't hurt. You know, when you speak of traveling to other dimensions, even if you can't be a lifeguard this summer, I'd hate you to lose your teaching job because they thought you lost your mind.
Of course, I couldn't really blame Dr. Bendiner for thinking somehow I'd become unscrewed. And as I laid down in his anteroom, those 9 days in nowhere came back to me. 9 days I'd never forget. It began on a Tuesday night after chemistry class.
Why are you still here, Plattner? The bell rang. What are all these boys still doing here? They haven't all been kept in, have they?
Professor Lidgett, Carson here, found some green powder up in the old lime kiln. So I told the boys if they'd like to take part in some scientific research, stay after class, and we'll subject the green powder to some scientific tests.
Proceed then, Plattner. I shall watch with interest. You don't mind if I stand beside you at the table here?
No, not at all. Professor Lidgett, we're conducting this experiment to impress upon these boys, Jacoby, Goodman, O'Shea, and Carson, that curiosity is not something that should stop after one has left school. So, here is a medicine bottle containing green powder, courtesy of Billy Carson, and plugged with a masticated piece of newspaper.
Plugged with what?
A large spitball. First, we place a small amount of the green powder into a test tube. Now, we hold the tube under the tap and see what effect is caused by water. No effect. No change in the substance whatsoever. As you can see, the powder does not even dissolve. Now, we'll prepare a number of test tubes, filling them with a little of Carson's green powder, partially filling each, and then in turn we'll test the green powder against nitric acid, sulfuric acid, hydrochloric acid. Very disappointing. No results, no changes in the powder. The experiment has yielded us 0. Nix. Naught. Well, boys, those are the hazards of science.
Why don't you set fire to some of the powder, Platinum?
Light it? With a match?
Or a Bunsen burner.
Boys, our principal, Professor Lidgett, suggests a test by fire. Here we go. We knock a few grains from the bottle onto this slate on our lab table. Professor, would you oblige with a match?
Oh, yes, happy to.
It's smoking. The green powder is melting. At the explosion, I was lifted off my feet and driven forcibly backwards. I wondered if I'd crashed through the wall or window of the chemistry lab. The next thing I knew, I was thrown to the ground.
Plattner, is that you?
Professor Lidgett, are you hurt?
Well, I don't think so.
Me neither. My face seems to be all right. I still have both my ears, hands, arms, and my feet.
Oh, so all right, thank heaven. Where's the school? Where are we? None of this countryside looks familiar to me.
Look. Straight in front of us. Those figures. I know those boys. They're in my bookkeeping class. But how strange they look. Sort of gray and amorphous. Almost floating.
Those gray shapes there? Those are our students?
I can see their lips move. They're talking. But I can't hear a word they're saying. And they're coming towards us. The one in front is Johnson. Great heavens. He just walked right through you.
I know. And I didn't feel a thing. Did you notice how dark it is getting? Above us, the sky is jet black. The only light is that greenish glow on the horizon and those black hills. Where are we?
Well, I can still see the chemistry classroom, but it seems to be receding, getting fainter.
Yes, I can see it too. Way off there. It's as though I had X-ray eyes and can see right through the walls. We must get back. We've been blown a considerable distance away. I must take charge.
Well, I doubt that will be possible, sir. As I analyze it, A, no one sees us. B, no one hears us. C, the boys walk right through us. D, yet we appear whole and uninjured. E, to ourselves we are real, but the school seems unreal. Therefore, I would conclude, ergo...
What?
That you and I, Professor, are dead.
Well, now, have we just heard from the living, or should I say, speaking dead? How's that for a first act curtain? The shape of things to come. Things beyond have always intrigued man. If, as some philosophers believe, ours is the world of the dying, then the next could possibly be the world of the living. What it's like, we may find out when I return shortly with Act 2.
Step inside, take a ride, and follow the rainbow.
Hot and tired, uptight with traffic delays. There's got to be a better way, and there is. Ride a rainbow. Ride a Rainbow Express bus.
Forget about the traffic on your way home on a rainbow.
Park and ride on the Rainbow Express from key shopping centers in Town and Country, Brandon, North Tampa, and now Temple Terrace, Eastlake.
The city, full of architectural barriers that keep disabled citizens out of public buildings. My job, I'm a barrier cop. Barrier Central.
It's about the elevator in the library. You can't feel the floor numbers with your fingertips.
Uh-huh. Barrier to blind people. We'll get it fixed.
Thank you.
It's my job. I'm a barrier cop.
This story could be true. Only the barriers can be changed to protect your rights. For information on how to file complaints, write Access America, Washington, D.C. 20201.
You know, it's not easy saying, there goes, or here comes the 97 WFLA Busch Gardens 20th Anniversary Etzel. But sometimes it comes out, the 97th Etzel Busch WFLA Gardens, or the Dark WFLA Conant 97 Busch Etzel Garden. Well, anyway, I guess you get the picture. 97 WFLA would like your help in naming the 59 Etzel. And if your suggestion is selected, it could mean a fabulous weekend at the Beachcomber on St. Petersburg Beach and $97 cash. Just send 97 WFLA a postcard with your suggested name for the Etzel. One entry per card. In case of duplicate names, the card received earliest will be the one considered. The winning entry will be selected by a panel of judges from Busch Gardens and 97 WFLA. All entries must be received by midnight, October 10th. Decision of the judges is final. So help us name the Busch Gardens 97, 20th Etzel, Dark Conant 59, 97 WFLA. Oh, gee.
An overworked teacher in a small grammar school explodes himself and the principal into what? He believes it's the world of the dead. But could he be someplace else? Some in-between state? It is a land where everything is shades of gray and green. Remember, it was a green powder that caused all this. A fact that does not escape those left behind.
Were you able to get any sense out of the boy, Dorothy?
Well, Billy says it was a green powder he found, brought it to class, and his chemistry teacher blew himself up with it, and that he and the principal just plain disappeared, blown to bits, no trace of them, Jim.
A doggone part of it is you'd think an explosion like that would make some kind of noise.
Oh, it knocked out a wall, but none of the children were hurt.
So Billy brought that green powder, huh? We could be in for a peck of trouble.
Do you really think so?
Our son brings an explosive to school. His teacher and the principal are blown away. They could hold us responsible.
They could?
We're his parents, and he's underage. I wonder which teacher it was.
Oh, Fred Plattner. You remember him.
They got Fred teaching chemistry? What does he know? No wonder everything went fluey.
Oh, he's such a nice young man, too.
I know that.
Now, promise you won't say anything to Billy tonight. He was very fond of Fred, too.
No, don't, Fred. Please, don't.
Jim, wake up. Jim, what is it? Jim, wake up.
Oh, Dorothy, I had such a nightmare. I was dreaming.
Don't tell me. Don't tell me.
Why not? It was kind of crazy.
I had a terrible dream, too, Jim.
Fred Plattner. He came right into this room, and he motioned for me to follow him downstairs.
Oh.
And then he took out a small medicine bottle with green powder in it and was trying to give it to me. And then suddenly, it was gone.
I saw him, too.
By the whole closet.
I mean, in my dream, he was standing by Billy's bed, and he had that same bottle in his hand, and he was shaking his head. And then I woke up.
Poor Fred. He was too young to die.
It was like he was trying to tell Billy something.
That's what Fred did to me in my dream. Made me feel he wanted to tell me something.
So, here I am, Fred Plattner. Or maybe I should say I was Fred Plattner. Now I exist in this other world, and I'm trying hard to get through to the world I've been blown out of. To those incandescent, phosphorescent shadows of people and places I knew. It's very frustrating.
Plattner, where the devil are we?
Gee, I wish I knew, Professor Lidgett.
I was watching you before walking down that steep hill and stopping, and then you were shouting at some rocks.
Well, I was trying to get through to Jimmy Carson. No go. He can't hear me. There must be a way to communicate with our world. Cut through the invisible barrier that separates us?
Plattner, I think I'm getting a chill.
Well, it's sitting in one place, Professor Lidgett. Give me your hand.
Yes.
Up you go. Now, we'll get ourselves off this cliff. Down there, it may be warmer.
Oh, thank you, my boy. I'll follow you. I don't think I valued you when you were teaching at Sussexville.
Yes, that's good. That's good. One step at a time. It's never as steep as you think. I'll have to tell you, Professor, I have no idea where we're heading. But at least we're moving, and that's the best way to keep warm.
Plattner, you know what's even more terrifying? I can hear you. You can hear me. But that's all. There's no sound in this place. The leaves are moving, but no sound. The wind is blowing. You can feel it, but you can't hear a thing. We came down this cliff, not one footfall, not a sound. It's all like some mad, silent movie. Not a sound anywhere.
Jim, will you see who's at the door? I'm just clearing away the breakfast dishes. Billy was late getting off to school today.
Honey, I've got to make tracks for work myself. Harry's been giving me the hairy eye lately, ever since that rumor went around town about Billy blowing up the school. All right. Hello, Sheriff. What can I do for you?
Good morning, Jim. May I come in for a few minutes?
Oh, sure.
Is Billy home?
Who?
Billy, your son?
Oh, yes. I mean, no. Billy's in school. He loves school. Wouldn't miss a day.
No, maybe it's just as well.
Sit down, Sheriff. Can I get you some coffee?
No, thanks.
Who is it, Jim? What? Hello, Sheriff. What brings you here this early?
I'll get to the point. You all know about that explosion at the school?
Why, yes, I did hear something about that. Accident in the chemistry lab or something, eh?
We've been investigating, and I'm not so sure I can call it an accident.
Fred Flatner and Professor Lidgett
Yes, that's a shame.
We've questioned every boy who was in or near that class, Jim, and they all say the same thing.
Well, Billy didn't mean anything by it. Honestly, he didn't.
Dorothy, shut up. I mean, dear, let the sheriff tell us what's on his mind.
I intend to. The information we've gathered is that your son brought a green powder into the class laboratory, and it was that caused the explosion.
A green powder? Well, where could Billy have found such a thing? He never said anything about it to us, did he, dear?
Jim, I think we should tell the sheriff.
Well, there's nothing to tell.
You asked where your son could have gotten such a powder. 3 boys were with him when they all went to the lime kiln. He found it there and put it in a bottle.
Oh, what 3 boys?
Ted Jacoby, Matthew Goodman, and Tommy O'Shea.
I know those kids. They'll say anything. You know how kids are. You're not going to believe the word of little kids, are you?
Unfortunately, we have no adult witnesses. But as we piece the story together, this was no ordinary school experiment.
Well, I don't see how you could hold my boy responsible for the mistakes of a teacher.
So far as you know, then, Jim, this whole story about Billy and the green explosive is untrue?
Absolutely.
Is this Billy's school satchel?
Yes, it is. Where did you find it?
In the chemistry lab, under one of the seats. I'll be straightforward with both of you. We found traces of a green powder inside. So, if you don't mind, I'm going to have to ask you, Jim, to come along with me back to the station house.
I can't go there now. I'm due at work.
I'm afraid you haven't got any choice, Jim.
But what have I got to do with it?
The law says that since Billy is underage, you, his father, are responsible. I have to book you, Jim.
Book me? On what charge?
Accessory to murder.
Several days and nights went by in our green world. This particular morning when I awoke, large, strange snowflakes were dropping all over me. Green snowflakes. And then, for the first time, the stillness was broken by a sound.
Plattner, did you hear that?
A bell. I think it comes from way down there in the gorge.
Let's get down there. Maybe there are people or someone who can help us. Oh, beautiful. Plattner, do you hear that?
Hear what?
The sound of our own footsteps. Things are starting to be a little bit more normal. And it's not so cold down here.
Look at those gray craters.
Will you look at that?
I never. A great stone building. There's an entrance. Let's go on in.
Wait a minute, Plattner. Isn't there something wrong about it? Something peculiar?
Well, nothing more peculiar than finding any gray skyscraper in a green world.
It doesn't have any windows. It's like being inside a huge tomb. There are some flickering lights way down there. An altar.
Something's moving back there.
Where?
To the right of the altar. What looks like a torch burning a green flame.
Oh, yes, I see what you mean.
Now, follow along the walls where that strange writing runs around the side, all the way to the right. Snowflakes. Big as a balloon, moving up and down. Let's get closer and have a look.
No, I think I'll stay back here.
If I go forward, Professor, you'll be alone here.
Oh. Those large things. Their heads, floating heads, with sort of tails hanging from each one like giant tadpoles in the air. They don't seem to have faces.
One is turning around. It's got eyes.
The others are turning now, too. They do have faces. Let's look at them now. They're floating away.
Anyone here?
Something just flew into my face. Something cold.
It's one of them. Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? Who are you?
Plattner, I don't think I can take much more of this.
Look back. What do you see?
I see the school.
Our school. The big assembly hall. And the boys are taking a test.
Midterms, that's what they are.
Well, will you look at that? Some of them are using a crib. A pony.
So they are. Cheating in a midterm. Plattner, make a note which boys are cheating.
Well, I don't see the school anymore. It's changing now. I can see a street. Yes, it's Main Street.
So it is. But how can we see Main Street from here?
Because it runs right through us. This world, this dimension. So that's where they went.
Who went?
Those floating faces. They're hovering over the people walking on the street, see? Look, one or two following each person, watching.
Watching? Why are they there? They're watching the living. Plattner, where are you?
I'm here. I just don't want to look anymore.
Oh, what's the matter with you? You're crying.
I know what those watchers of the living are doing. I know who they are. There are two of them above my head, aren't there?
Yes.
A man's face and a woman's face. I know them. I know who they are.
The two faces over your head, you know them?
It's my mother and father.
H.G. Wells asks, who are these watchers of the living? Why do they so passionately watch those they have left forever? Is it that when our life is over and evil or good are no longer a choice, that we may still have to watch the consequences of what we began? If this is so, then certainly Fred Plattner and Professor Lidgett have not died, but have invaded that dimension which hangs over all of us. I shall return shortly with Act 3.
At the drugstore, they told me there's a powerful anti-itch drug I can buy without a doctor's prescription. Now I use Bicozine cream as directed. No more burning, embarrassing itching. No more scratching. Bicozine actually speeds healing. Bicozine cream. What a relief.
Now you can soften hard, calloused skin without painful cutting or scraping. Apply stainless Dermasoft cream to your feet as directed. Insist on Dermasoft cream.
You can sing smoke gets in your eyes, but when it gets into everyone else's eyes and nose and throat, it's no musical matter. Your lung association says cigarettes are a personal health hazard, and secondhand smoke is offensive to all non-smokers.
Give us all a break. Let the Lung Association help you kick the habit for your sake and for everyone's life and breath.
Join hands with people everywhere. Each of us can do our share in care crusade for children.
This year, people of all nations are joining hands to improve the lives of the world's needy children. Through CARE, you can provide the families of these children with the means to grow their own food, to build medical facilities, safer water systems, and schools. Tomorrow's world is in our hands. Help make it a better place for all the children. Send your check or money order to CARE, Crusade for Children Overseas, 145 Madeira Avenue, Coral Gables, 33134.
Let H.G. Wells continue his story. If human souls continue after death, then surely human interests continue after death. So these watchers of the living keep an eye on earthlings. Make note that this in-between land is green, the color of renewal, of continuation, of movement. Therefore, this island in space and time onto which our two men have stepped could be a moving platform. But to where?
How many days has it been, Plattner?
How many times did I go to sleep and wake up? 6, 7, 8? I can't be sure.
We have only you to blame for this.
I seem to remember that it was you, Professor, who said, why don't you set a match to the powder?
Why do these infernal things have to hang around us? What have I done to them? Well, go on, get away from me. Go away. Do you hear me? I don't see how you stand these floating heads always following us, bumping us like balloons with faces.
I am trying to be calm and not let myself go, and you must do the same, Professor. I could just as easily lose my nerve, but how would that help me?
Listen.
They've stopped.
You're in a different spot than I am, Plattner. Your mother and father are watchers.
I hope you never see your parents as I'm seeing mine. Not being able to speak to them and be understood. Not knowing whether they are real or shadows.
No, I absolutely refuse to be fingerprinted, and that's final.
You have a right to call your lawyer.
Where are the bodies? Where's Fred Plattner? Where's the headmaster, Professor Lidgett? How can you be sure they aren't still somewhere wandering about in shock, maybe, but very much alive?
If in over a week they haven't shown up?
Amnesia. Do you know what that is, Sheriff? If I were blown up in some ridiculous experiment, it would addle my brains, too. They're alive, I bet you, but they don't know who they are or where.
Well, that all may be true, but you're still responsible for what happened. Speak to the mayor if you want to, but you're not leaving here until formal charges are placed.
It had all changed between Professor Lidgett and myself. No longer were we of like mind in this limbo of the dead where there was no sunrise or sunset, where a green haze hung over vast cliffs and stone buildings without windows. We were enemies, and that didn't help.
The day I hired you for the school, I must have been mad, Plattner. You got us into this. Now, what are we going to do?
Try to keep my head, for one thing. For another, I'm going to sit here and have another try at getting through to Sussexville.
Oh, you have a formula? How are you going to do it?
Concentrate. Mother, Father, help me see our town. There. I can see right through that rock face. The walls of the house, like glass. Well, Professor, you got your wish. There's Billy Carson and his mother. They're standing in the kitchen listening to the telephone. There's unhappiness written on her face.
Yeah, I shouldn't wonder. That boy shouldn't be allowed out alone. He's a menace.
They're talking to someone at the police station. Mother, Father, I want to see what is happening there.
Dorothy, honey, don't cry. They won't let me go home right now. I've called our lawyer. He's in court, but he'll get over here as soon as he can. Now, you just tell Billy what trouble he's caused. I don't know when I'll get home. I'll get there when I get there. That's all I know.
This way, Mrs. Vandermill.
I don't know what possibly could have come over that salesgirl. I mean, to actually accuse me.
Now, Mrs. Vandermill, there's nothing I can do.
Maybe something did happen to fall off the perfume counter into my purse, but heavens, to say I was shoplifting. Me, Helena Vandermill, why, I own half this town. Why would I ever steal anything?
They did find some merchandise in your handbag.
Who is that man sitting over there?
He's in our custody. He's waiting for his attorney. Now, Mrs. Vandermill, if you'll kindly pay the fine, all the formalities will be taken care of.
Oh, Sheriff, you are the most understanding public servant in this town.
The fine, Mrs. Vandermill?
Oh, yes, of course. Now, how much will it be this time?
I'd say $50 would cover.
$50 it is. Here you are. All I have with me is 20, so here are 3, and do keep the change.
Thank you, Mrs. Vanderbilt.
Yes, I'll be more careful next time and keep my bag closed.
Who was that?
The richest old gal in town, but I have to haul her in at least once a week. She can't help shoplifting.
Oh, why didn't you arrest her?
Oh, I couldn't do that.
Oh, why did you slip her fine in your pocket?
I keep it safe there. Understand?
Yeah, I'm beginning to. And how much would a little understanding cost me?
Mr. Carson, Jim, I knew you'd understand the way we do business around here.
I'm sorry I was a little slow. Let me see what I have in my wallet.
The crookedness in our town. I had no idea. Starting with boys cheating on their exams, all the way to the police taking bribes. Lidget and I had stopped talking. I was too tired one evening to keep my eyes open, and before I knew it, I was asleep.
Flatner, get up.
Huh? What's the matter?
Get up.
Oh, yes, certainly. Professor, what are you holding that rock in your hand for?
I'm not staying here any longer.
Well, how do you propose to leave?
You're going to lead me back to the exact spot where we entered this other world.
Oh, I don't know that I remember it.
You'd better, if you don't want your head bashed in.
Professor Lidget, I understand the strain you feel, but what good will it do you to hurt me?
I don't care anymore. I've got to leave here.
All right. Let's start up this path and see if I can find the place.
Hello, operator. I dialed 555-1212, and I got a wrong number. Would you place the call for me, please? It's the mayor's office. It works every time. Good morning, Mayor. Not too badly. We made $260. 60 from the old klepto, and I nicked another citizen for the 200. All right, will you stop by, or shall I send the cash over to the town hall? Good. I'll put 130 in an envelope addressed to you and marked official business.
That little scene at conniving didn't escape me either. It made me wonder, did I really wish to return to the life I had grown up with? We climbed and finally reached a plateau which I thought looked familiar.
Is this where we first landed? Are you sure?
I'm as sure as I can be. You know, Professor, that world of ours, it's not what it's cracked up to be.
No, it isn't. But it's the only game in town.
And people aren't what they think they are.
Flatner, you're still carrying that glass bottle with some green powder.
Yes, I still have it. What's left? Why?
Nothing. Just thinking.
It's finally dawned on me why the watchers of the living have such unhappy faces. What goes on Earth is enough to make anyone sad. Greed, deceit. The people you thought were honorable, people you respected. Even you, Lidget. You're much less of a human being than I thought you were. Much less. Lidget, what are you doing to that rock? Lidget, please. Please. I came to on Earth. Lying, sprawled out in the schoolyard, covered in scratches and bruises. I was alone. Professor Lidget didn't get back to Earth with me. I remembered running away from the professor, and then I tripped and fell. Yes, the powder must have exploded on impact, and here I was. It was getting dark in Dr. Bendener's office, and I remembered I'd come to see him for a physical.
feeling any better, Mr. Plattner?
Yes, I am. I'm fine now, Doctor.
Had a little sleep?
Oh, not exactly. Just thinking about how my insides got all reversed.
Nothing's malfunctioning, you understand, just exchanged. Are you up to getting yourself home?
Dr. Bendener, I've decided I don't want to be a lifeguard after all. I'm just not the swimming kind.
I didn't know there was any other kind.
Oh, there are lots of ways lives can be guarded. I'd like to think about that.
Think about what, Mr. Plattner?
What I ought to do, now that I'm back.
Back? Go back to teaching. I think you should.
Oh, well, they say that those who can do, those who can't teach. I think I can, Doctor. And there's an awful lot of doing that Sussexville needs. Maybe I'll just give it a try.
It so happened that Fred Plattner knew quite a lot about the shenanigans of several high town officials. And come election time, when Fred started talking, everyone also knew quite a lot. So it was hardly a surprise when an unknown school teacher got himself elected mayor of Sussexville. Not surprising at all. I'll be back shortly.
I'm lost and lonely, scared and sad, trembling at the thought of making you mad. My love is yours, but at times you're so cold. If life's like this, take me before I grow old.
This song about child abuse was written by a man now serving time in a state prison. It is estimated that there are at least 1 million cases of child abuse in America each year. Child abusers and their children can both be helped. Find out how. Write Prevent Child Abuse, Box 2866, Chicago, Illinois, 60690.
Please stop the hurt. I've suffered since my birth. Join the abused child's fight. Put an end to their sleepless night.
A message of the Ad Council and the National Committee for Prevention of Child Abuse.
Some folks around Sussexville are still scratching their heads, wondering where Fred Plattner and Professor Lidgett disappeared to for 9 days, and why the professor never came back. But Fred isn't telling anyone. Every now and then, though, he'll look up suddenly from his desk in the mayor's office, as if he was seeing someone he recognized. Call it an H.G. Wells fantasy, if you will, but who knows? Perhaps we are all being watched. Over there. Is that a shadow over your head? Our cast included Tony Roberts, Bob Dryden, Bryna Rayburn, and Gilbert Mack. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown. And now, a preview of our next tale.
I took a few steps down the rough cobblestone alley. It was dim, a place where the sun couldn't get to. There wasn't a sound. The bustle behind me seemed to have vanished. I walked slowly along the twisting alleyway. Well, there were a few shops, but they were all closed. I don't know why I kept walking, but something seemed to draw me along. And then the alley turned, and there it was. A small shop, brightly lighted with candles. In the window were clothes, leather things, beads, spices. There was no name on the door, but I knew I'd found the Devil's Boutique.
This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams.
free.
Lux presents Hollywood. The Lux Radio Theater brings you Margaret O'Brien, Charles Lawton, and Tom Drake in The Canterville Ghost. Ladies and gentlemen, your guest producer, Mr. Hunt Stromberg.
Greetings from Hollywood, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe you've heard that story of two ghosts indulging in a bit of phantom conversation. One turned to the other and asked that question that has troubled ghosts since time began. Do you believe in people? We bring you tonight the story of a ghost who cherished very little confidence in people, and even less faith in himself. Though legend dubs him one of England's most spectacular phantoms. Charles Lawton plays the title role in Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer's comic fantasy, The Canterville Ghost. Co-starred with Mr. Lawton is an actress still young on the vine, and shortly to be starred in MGM's Our Vines Have Tender Grapes. 7-year-old Margaret O'Brien, winner of this year's Academy Award. Also in our cast is Tom Drake, who as Cuffy Williams finds himself billeted with an American expeditionary troop in the ancient castle of the Canterville, where what transpires may sometimes challenge your belief, at the same time that it sparks your risibility. While the setting of our play is wartime England, America has had its share of ghosts, too. In fact, there was a time when it was considered a safe precaution to dunk all suspicious characters in water. If they stayed under, they were innocent of harboring antisocial spirits. Well, we'd hardly tolerate such laundering in our present-day society, unless, of course, we added Lux Flakes to the process. Give Lux Flakes a ghost of a chance, and you'll never work yourself into a skeleton with old-fashioned methods. Nor will your nice things ever wear that haunted look. As we lower the lights in our theater, we suggest you do the same at home and draw up a chair to hear the first act of The Canterville Ghost, starring Margaret O'Brien as Lady Jessica de Canterville, Charles Lawton as Sir Simon, and Tom Drake as Cuffy Williams. Authorities on the subject of phantoms declare that the most fearsome ghost in all the British Isles is that of a somewhat overweight nobleman named Sir Simon de Canterville. Haunting Canterville Castle for 300 years, this portly apparition has been unique for its shrewd sense of showmanship and its spectacular variety of stunts, shapes, and sound effects. The ghost originated in 1634. When Sir Simon was scheduled to fight a duel. He took one look at his fierce and towering opponent and ran away from the field of honor in a startling display of speed and cowardice. He was chased to his father's castle by his frustrated opponent, Sir Valentine.
Where is he? Where is the cowardly poltroon?
Sir, what means this violation of my hall?
Lord Canterville?
Aye?
I am Sir Valentine of Bolton Manor. Your son, Sir Simon, having accepted my challenge, fled before my sword.
Fled? You lie, Sir Valentine.
My honor has been twice offended. I demand that the fat coward faces me.
You are new to these parts, Sir Valentine, or you would know that cowardice in a Canterville is like snow in July. Every Canterville bears on his neck the Canterville birthmark. It is the badge of valor. The Cantervilles are the bravest men in England. So call off your hounds and leave these halls.
Fine words, my lord, but it seems the hounds have found their quarry. That room there. Why is the door closed, and why do my hounds leap upon it?
No son of mine cowers behind the door.
No? Then my lord can have no objection to sealing up the door with stone and mortar?
I certainly can. I have too great a regard for my house.
For your house, my lord, or for your son?
Giles, Thomas, fetch the stonemasons. Tell them to bring their brick and mortar. One more stone, Sir Valentine, and the room is sealed. Are you satisfied?
Aye.
And you still think my son is in that room? If he's a coward, why is he not called?
He is a coward.
Father!
Ah, He finds his tongue at last. Masons, stop.
I heard nothing. Continue, Masons. Seal up the wall.
Father! It is Simon, thy son.
My lord.
There's no one in that room. Put in the last stone, I say. Put it in.
Father! It is I.
But, my lord, 'twas only meant in jest.
Leave my house.
Aye, but 'tis thy son thou hast entombed there.
And you, Masons, get you hence.
I mean, Lord,
Simon de Canterville, full well I know it is thou behind this masonry. But because thou hast dishonored thy proud blood, that room shall be thy tomb. When thou art dead, may thy craven spirit walk the halls of Canterville Castle, until a kinsman shall wear thy signet ring, and perform for thee the brave deed thou didst fail to do.
So did Sir Simon die, and so was born the Canterville ghost. Now it's 1942. Canterville Castle stands silent and deserted, inhabited only by a slightly tired but still fearsome phantom. The only remaining Canterville is Lady Jessica. She and her aunt find living less disturbing in a modest cottage on the castle grounds. Lady Jessica is 7 years old.
Auntie, I just saw him. I just saw the ghost.
The ghost, dear? Where?
On the roof of the castle.
Oh, that was the tinsmith, darling. He's mending the water spouts. We're turning the castle over to some American soldiers.
American soldiers?
Rangers, I believe they're called. Like commandos.
But good gracious, Auntie, can they live in the castle when it is haunted?
Your family did, darling, until 20 years ago.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Oh, yes, Potter.
Everything's ready at the castle.
We were wondering about tea, ma'am.
Oh, of course. I'll be there shortly.
Yes, ma'am.
You're going, Auntie?
Certainly, dear. They'll be our guests. Noblesse oblige.
But, Auntie, you're not well. Remember what the doctor said?
Well, perhaps I shouldn't.
Auntie, what does it mean? Noblesse oblige?
Oh, it's just an expression, darling.
But what does it mean?
Well, noblesse oblige is French. Those of us who are nobly born must prove ourselves worthy by being kind and thoughtful of others. So, when guests arrive, we must see that they enjoy their stay.
Auntie, those Americans, will there be cowboys and Indians?
Some of them, I dare say.
What does one do to make Indians welcome?
Jessica, you're not going to the castle.
Well, someone should greet the soldiers.
But aren't you afraid of the ghost?
Oh, yes, Auntie.
And you still want to go?
Well, I really should. It's my castle. Noblesse oblige. It starts when you're born, doesn't it?
Run along then, darling. The Americans should be there now.
And don't worry, Auntie. Ghosts almost never come out in the daytime.
Attention! Platoon accounted for, Lieutenant Kane.
I get this. As long as you men are in this castle, you're to conduct yourselves like gentlemen and respect this property. Get a good night's sleep. You'll need it. If you want me, Sergeant Benson, I'll be at headquarters in the village.
Yes, sir.
As you were.
Hey, now that's my chair, Coffee.
Sorry, Jordan, I'm consolidating this position. Well, not bad. Pup tents are okay for the hoi polloi. Me, Cuffy Williams, I prefer the comforts of the castle. An easy chair, a cozy fire.
Take your big feet off that table, Williams. Where do you think you're at?
Canterville Castle, one of England's most impressive
I beg
estates.
pardon. Shall I serve tea now, gentlemen?
Tea?
After your journey, you may be a bit done in.
Well, okay then. Thanks.
Very good, sir.
Now, listen, fellas. It says in the book here that when you're in England, you got to act the way they do. They say tea, you drink it.
Excuse me, gentlemen, but Lady Jessica would like to say good evening.
Well, tell her we'd be honored.
Very good, sir.
Lady.
What do you say to a dame that's a lady?
Do you have to kiss her hand?
Now, watch it.
Lady Jessica de Canterville.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Holy smoke. It's a midget.
No, it's a half pint.
How do you do? I want you to all know I'm glad you're here. And I do so hope you'll enjoy your stay in my castle.
Well, my lady, may I say on behalf of my compatriots that we're very grateful for your hospitality.
Yeah, likewise.
Thank you, gentlemen.
You'll excuse the fellas, I hope. We thought Lady Jessica was a...
I thought a girl had to be married before she was a lady.
Oh, dear, no. A lady is a lady when she behaves like one. My auntie says. Which one of you are Indians?
Huh? Oh, that tall fellow, Trigger. He's an Indian.
Oh, to which tribe do you belong?
He's a Hoboken Indian.
I I don't believe I've ever read about that tribe.
Tea is served, gentlemen.
Oh, of course. Will you pour, my lady?
Thank you, Mr.
Williams, Private Cuffy Williams.
I shall be happy to, Private Williams.
This way, gents.
Would anybody like some more tea?
No, thanks. Who did that? Come on now, who did it?
Who did what, Sergeant?
Who made that spot on the rug? Who spilt the tea? Speak up.
Oh, that's not tea, sir.
It ain't?
No, sir. Nothing will remove that spot. It's blood.
Blood? Quite so. The blood of Lady Barbara Moody. She stabbed herself in the throat when she saw him.
Him? Who was him?
Sir Simon, our ghost.
Your ghost, did you say?
Oh, yes, he's quite the most famous ghost in England. And he lives here in this castle.
Now, wait a minute.
Well, if you don't want me to tell you about
Oh,
it...
but we do. Now, give the lady a chance, fellows. If she says her castle is haunted, well, who are we to quibble?
It may sound irregular to you, but I have seen the ghost myself.
No fooling.
That's the door to his bedchamber behind that tapestry. Isn't it, Mrs. Potter?
Aye. He was walled up in there centuries ago.
Holy catfish.
Oh, that's awful.
Yes. And every night now on the stroke of 12, his spirit walks the halls.
Searching for a kinsman with the birthmark at the Cantervilles.
Oh, gentlemen, beware.
I shouldn't tell you this before bedtime, but the Dowager Duchess of Stutfield was found one night on her balcony, stark, staring mad. There's the loveliest picture of her gibbering like an idiot.
Oh, you don't say.
Well, that's awful.
And Lady Margaret Bilton, she drowned herself in the fish pond. Do you know why?
No, tell us why.
Because there he was again, with long green fingers twitching with palsy and his eyes burning like coal. The bloodsucker of Bexley Moor.
Bloodsucker? Didn't I tell you, fellas? Who are we to quibble?
What is your name, please?
Cuffy Williams.
Well, Cuffy Williams, I know right well that you've been laughing at me.
Oh, no, m'lady.
But just you wait until midnight.
Nine, 10, 11, 12. Hey, Cuffy, it's 12 o'clock.
Oh, so what?
Oh, nothing. Boy, this bunk's hot. I can't get to sleep.
Well, fill out a complaint and mail it to the colonel.
Hey, Cuffy, do you think there's anything in this ghost business?
Oh, for crying out loud.
Pipe down, you guys. I said pipe down. That ain't us, Sarge.
Sounds like somebody dragging ash cans around.
No, it's James.
Hey, look, there's a light on the stairs.
Hey, look, fellas, it's taking shape. It's the ghost. Holy smoke.
It's him. It's Sir Simon.
I am the ghost of Sir Simon de Canterville. Did you ever see a man slice off his own head? Observe. It's off. A head without a body without a head. Now it's on. Now it's off. Now it's on again.
Yeah, it's on, but you put it on backwards.
Oh, did I? Excuse me. Is this better?
Scram, Dibblepuss.
Take care, take care. Take care,
fellas, I'm gonna let him have it.
Well, let's face it, Sarge. That was a real ghost.
Yeah, I don't believe it, but I say he comes back.
We've got to scare him again.
Scare a ghost?
That's right, and this time scare him good. Now listen, you put on our gas mask, take the sheets and wrap...
Company, attention.
Morning, men.
Morning, sir.
Well, from now on, we're officially attached to the British Commandos. We're going to celebrate with a 10-hour endurance hike. Forced marching rate 8 hours, double time the last 2. What's the matter with the men, Sergeant?
Sir, I'm afraid they didn't sleep so good last night.
Oh, why not?
Well, maybe it was, well, you know how it is, a strange place.
Yeah. Jordan, is that what kept you up, a strange place?
Oh, no, sir. What kept me up was seeing the ghost. Wasn't it, Eddie? Yes, sir, that's right.
You saw a ghost?
Oh, you should have seen him, sir. He cut off his own head. We shot at him, then we put on sheets and gas masks and scared him away for good. I hope.
All right, Sergeant. What really kept him up last night? Well?
It was the ghost, sir.
Ghost, huh? Phone the platoon. I guarantee the men will sleep tonight.
Yes, sir. All in.
Williams, where'd you get that limp?
Oh, it's nothing, sir. I was just running up the stairs.
Chased by the ghost?
Oh, no, sir. I was chasing him.
Well, you can chase yourself right back into that castle and spend the next 10 hours sweeping the floors.
Yes, sir. Well, well. Hello there, lady.
Oh, it's you.
Well, who did you think it was?
Oh, no one. I was just bringing these onions into the pantry.
Really? Then why did you take that great circle route?
Auntie thought the mess sergeant might like some onions. I'm a brownie, and brownies raise onions.
Oh, come now. You were afraid I was a ghost.
Well, what if I was?
Well, he's nothing to be afraid of.
Didn't he come last night?
Sure, and we chased him right up the chimney.
Oh, you didn't.
Oh, you think I'm kidding, huh? Well, we'll ask old Foxy Grandpa himself.
Who?
The ghost.
Oh, that won't be necessary.
Now, let's see. This is the door to the room that's walled up, isn't it? Pretty solid. Hey, Grandpa, open up! Oh, what do you know? It wasn't locked.
Oh, no, please. Auntie's expecting me home.
Oh, come on over here. Come on. That's right. Now, look. You just pretend you're not afraid and you won't be. That's all there is to it.
Are you sure?
I'll prove it to you. Come on. Hey, Ghost, where are you hiding?
That must be where he was walled up.
Those bricks look loose. Maybe I could find a Well, what do you know? Look.
What?
Over there on top of the mantel, Sir Simon. He's sitting on the mantel.
Must you invade even my tomb? Will there be no place I could call sanctuary?
What are you doing up there?
Trying to keep out of drafts. I've got a slight head cold.
Well, drift down here. There's someone I want you to meet.
I have already met your colonial ruffians. They pursued me through the halls like ghosts. Humans.
Now, nobody's going to hurt you, Grandpa. I want you to meet Lady Jessica. Sir Simon the Ghost.
Milady.
How do you do?
Not at all well, thank you.
Bless you.
Oh, atta girl. Oh, she's been scared stiff of you. And I just wanted to show her you wouldn't hurt a flea.
Sir, my record speaks for itself. An unbroken reign of terror through 3 centuries.
Well, record or no record, as long as her ladyship's around, you've got to behave yourself.
It is absurd asking me to behave myself. Quite absurd. I must rattle my chains and groan through keyholes. I must gibber from the oriel window on the 1st and 3rd Wednesdays of every month. It is my solemn duty to haunt these halls.
That's a lot of ectoplasm.
But, Cuffy, he's the family ghost.
Americans, child. What can a people without ancestors know about ghosts?
Now, wait a minute. You never heard of the Headless Horseman? Or Red Grange, the Galloping Ghost? Or Mrs. Pruneface?
Provincial stuff. Spirits with neither crest nor title.
Titles? Well, what about Count Basie, Duke Ellington, the King of Swat?
Nobility and a democracy, balderdash.
But, Sir Simon, we've had democracy here in England ever since the Magna Carta.
Madam, I have never chosen to recognize it.
But you should, Sir Simon. That's what we're fighting this war about.
That's the stuff, milady. You see, you're not afraid a bit.
Oh.
Now that you two Cantervilles are acquainted, you must have a lot of family matters to gab about. So I'll get on with my cleaning. You sure you're all right, milady?
Yes, thank you.
I'll see you later.
Unless, Sir Simon, you'd rather be alone.
Oh, no, please. Pray sit down. I've forgotten my manners.
Well, if I may say so, you could have been a little more polite to Cuffy just now.
After what he and his band of hooligans did to me, I may have very little else. But I still have my pride.
But you frightened them.
I must frighten people. I have a reputation to uphold. The most fearsome phantom in all England.
Cuffy told me that they chased you up the chimney last night.
That's because they wore those ghastly masks and shrouds. Lady Jessica, I can pretend no longer. Since last night, it is I who am frightened. I who tremble at the slightest noise.
Oh, you poor, poor ghost.
Do you know what it means to be a ghost? To live in emptiness between heaven and earth, with nothing for company but bitter memories?
But do you have to keep on being a ghost?
I am condemned to be a ghost until a kinsman performs a brave deed in my behalf. If I could only rest. If I could only die. Oh, to be buried in the soft brown earth in the garden beyond the pine woods. To have no yesterday and no tomorrow.
Oh, dear. I wish I could do a brave deed for you.
How's it go, lady?
Oh, fine.
Sorry to bust this reunion up, but the Louie will be back in a minute.
Goodbye, Sir Simon. And I'm very happy to have met you.
Milady.
Cuffy, I think you ought to tell your friends not to chase him up the chimney anymore.
Well, that depends on him.
But he's so old and sleepy.
Hey.
Oh!
Hey, take it easy.
I stumbled on my shoelace. It's untied.
Well, stand still. I'll tie it for you.
Cuffy,
Huh?
what's that on your neck? That mark.
That's just a birthmark. Hey, where are you going?
There's something I've got to tell Sir Simon. It's very important. I've got to tell him. Sir Simon. Sir Simon.
Are you back so soon, milady?
Cuffy has a Canterville birthmark on his neck.
What, that American ruffian?
He must be a Canterville. Isn't that wonderful?
Gad, if he be a Canterville, shall I prance around joyously like a saucy antelope?
But if Cuffy is a Canterville, and if he does a brave deed for you, he can save you, can't he?
Can it be that they have concealed from thee why I am still here? Dost fancy it is merely because I cannot find the kinsman?
Well, I've overheard Mr. Potter say that all the Cantervilles always turn out to be cowards. But that isn't true, is it?
Cowards? Gross flattery. Had they twice the courage, 'twould only give them half the name.
Sir Simon.
Thy grandfather, would he mount a horse? Thy father, so fearful of water that he trembled in his bath? Or thyself, swooning at the mere sight of my shadow?
Really now, it's your family too, Sir Simon.
Only too well do I know it.
But Cuffy can save you. I know it. It isn't true that all Cantervilles have to turn out to be cowards. I was a coward, wasn't I? I was frightened to death of you. And now look at me. I'm not afraid of you in the least. Oh, don't you see, Sir Simon?
Nay, it is in the Canterville blood and bones.
It isn't in my blood and bones, and it isn't in Cuffy's. Oh, I'll arrange for you to meet him again. Tonight, in the garden beyond the pine woods. And if it turns out that he is a Canterville, my goodness, maybe you'll be able to go to sleep.
Very well, my child. At 7 I gibber in the portrait gallery, following which I practice horrible hallucinations. If these go well, I'll meet thee in the garden shortly before 8.
Act 2 of The Canterville Ghost, starring Charles Lawton, Margaret O'Brien, and Tom Drake, will continue in a moment. Now, let's listen in on a conversation in one of Hollywood's popular restaurants.
Oh, no dessert for me, just coffee. Oh, dear, this new diet. Why, Betty, what are you staring at? That girl at the table in the corner. She has on a rayon print dress just like yours. Where? Oh, she must have bought it last year, too. What do you mean? Yours looks brand new. Oh, heavens, no. I got it at the beginning of last summer. Well, you'd never know it. Hers looks much older than that, sort of faded and washed out. Meow. She probably did wash it out the wrong way. Better not wash yours, then, if that's what happened. Silly, I've done it lots of times already. No, but they look so different. You must have a knack. No knack, just Lux Flakes. I always use them, and I never had a dress look like that in my life. Not so loud. She's coming this way. Well, it'd do her good to listen.
Yes, it would help that girl to know about Lux Flakes. Actual washing tests prove that gentle Lux Care keeps colors lovely up to 3 times as long. So don't risk wash day methods that are hard on fabrics. Strong soap, hot water, rough handling can make colors look drab far too soon. Let Lux keep your washables lovely longer. We pause now for station identification. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Act Two of The Canterville Ghost, starring Charles Lawton as Sir Simon, Margaret O'Brien as Lady Jessica, and Tom Drake as Cuffy Williams. Nightfall envelops the massive turrets of Canterville Castle. In a garden beyond the pine woods, Lady Jessica and Cuffy Williams patiently await the ghost of Sir Simon. Suddenly, Jessica sees a faint phosphorescent glow. Her face brightens in response.
Here we are, Sir Simon. Here we are. See, I brought him.
Hiya, Sir Simon. What's cooking?
Cooking?
Yeah, I mean, what's all the mystery?
Go on, Sir Simon, asking.
Tell me, prithee, dost thou by any miracle remember aught of thine ancestors?
Ancestors? Well, my old man would never look his up. Said he was afraid one might turn up that ended in the hot seat.
Hot seat? Nowadays, England and America have everything in common, except, of course, the language.
Think back, Cuffy, and try to remember.
Well, I had an Aunt Martha. She was a little wacky on the subject. Traced my mother's family tree back to some guy that landed in Massachusetts, way, way back. Name was, Marmalade. No, Montmorency. No, Marmaduke.
That same Marmaduke who fled to Salem after Cromwell scattered the chivalry of England to the four winds?
Oh, Sir Simon.
You knew him?
The son of my brother Anthony.
Oh, now, take it easy. How do you know it's the same Marmaduke?
By the birthmark of the Cantervilles, observe, beneath the ruffle of my collar.
Holy cats. A birthmark same as mine.
Now show me thine, please. Holy cats, indeed.
What did I tell you?
Well, Well, that makes me your,
Nephew. Great nephew.
Aye, thou art a kinsman who can free me from these earthly bonds.
Huh?
By performing a brave deed in his name.
You mean that's all I have to do?
Thou art a Canterville, the bluest blood in all broad England. Wilt wear my signet ring and carry it into battle in my behalf?
You must save him, Cuffy. He's so old and tired.
Okay, it's a deal. The first time they turn me loose on those Nazis.
I shall be everlastingly grateful, nephew.
I, too.
Thumbs up, Uncle. It's in the bag.
Good night, Sir Simon.
Good night, and Godspeed. Oh, Father, grant that he be not like the others.
Hey, fellas, get a load of this. Get a load of what? It's a bulletin from the lieutenant.
Well, will you listen to this? Because of inefficiency of the platoon billeted at Canterville Castle, cause of which has not yet been satisfactorily explained, all leaves to London are hereby canceled.
I could tell him the cause. Nobody around here can get any sleep.
How can we sleep with a ghost in a joint?
What gets me is the Louis still thinks we stayed up all night shooting crap. If he'd only seen the ghost.
Hey, wait a minute. Perhaps we can take a picture of the ghost. Yeah, with a camera.
Hey, listen, you guys. Why don't you lay off that poor old ghost? He's perfectly harmless.
Harmless, huh? He just ruined our weekend.
Well, he's just doing his job. A ghost has to groan through keyholes and rattle chains.
Why the sudden sympathy?
Well, I've got a sort of personal interest in him. Gentlemen, I have every reason to believe that I am the long-lost Duke of Canterville. The bluest blood in all England.
Oh, the Duke of Canterville yet, eh?
Seems to me I seen you in the induction center, buddy.
If I were you, I'd be careful what I said and did, see?
Like what?
Well, like loafing on my lawn.
So this is your private lawn, huh, Dookie?
Yeah.
Only you can lie on it?
Yeah.
Excuse me, Your Grace. Then lie. Hey! Sit on him, Eddie, and leave us remove his royal breeches.
It's an old English custom.
Sure. The pants and the Duke.
Hey, cut it off!
I got him. Here's his pants.
Okay, Dookie, now you can get up.
Hey, fellas, look. Here comes a carriage.
It's Lady Jessica and a dame. Give me my pants.
Get behind us, Cuffy. Gather around him. Gents, his dame's coming.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
This is my aunt, Mrs. Culverdine.
How do you do?
Cuffy, won't you come and meet my aunt?
Well, if you don't mind, I'd better meet her from back here. How do you do?
Why are you hiding behind the others?
Oh, it's just sort of a military procedure, Lady Jessica.
Cuffy, I mean all of you. Auntie said I might invite you to the party in the village this afternoon.
Thank you very much.
It's only a Saturday at home dance, but there'll be refreshments.
Dames, too? I mean, scoits? I mean, girls?
Oh, yes. And you'll all come? 4 o'clock at the service center. Don't forget.
Hey, fellas, wait! Hey, fellas, wait! My pants!
Auntie, look at Cuffy.
Well, what sort of a uniform is that?
Why, Cuffy's wearing kilts. It's very nice of you to dance with me, Cuffy.
Oh, not at all, my lady.
But I'm afraid I'll never learn this kind of dancing.
Why, you're cutting the rug to ribbons.
Cutting a rug?
Well, what I mean is you give with the jive. How's it feel to be a slick chick?
Fine. But does it always make you so dizzy?
Okay. What do you say to a glass of punch?
Hey, Cuffy, come here.
What do you want? Oh, hiya, Sarge. I want you should settle an argument.
Let's see what this is all about, Jessica. What kind of an argument?
Good afternoon, Mr. Cawthorn.
Good afternoon, milady.
Cuffy, I was telling Mr. Cawthorn, the lieutenant thinks it's applesauce about the ghost.
Oh?
As a native of Canterville, gentlemen, I believe you saw the ghost right enough. But the day will never dawn when he'll run from a human being.
Okay, Dookie, you tell him.
Dookie?
Yeah, Cuffy here. He's the Duke of Canterville. Ain't you, Cuff?
Well, in a manner of speaking, I'm, well, what's the joke?
My dear boy, if you wanted to impersonate a British nobleman, you'd never choose a cat Lady Jessica, my profound apologies.
And just what's wrong with being a Canterville?
Well, since you're so well acquainted with the ghost, sir, I suggest that you ask him.
Yes, I think I will.
Cuffy, please, will you dance with me again?
Sure, my lady. Hey, Sir Simon, cut it out, will you? Cut it out.
Who's that?
It's me, Cuffy. I've been looking for you since midnight. Where have you been?
In the north turret, gibbering. I'm sorry you overheard. I'm in poor voice tonight.
Look, if you're supposed to hang around here until a Canterville does a brave deed for you, how come you're still here after 300 years?
Oh, I've been waiting for you to ask that.
And all that time, someone must have tried to help you.
Excuse me, I really must get back to work.
Now, wait a minute. Quit stalling. What's wrong with the Cantervilles? If you're trying to hold out on me, I'll...
Nay, kinsman. I was merely trying to spare thee.
Spare me what? Go on, spill it.
Mayhap it is better if thine ancestors speak for themselves. Come with me into the portrait gallery. This is the portrait gallery, nephew.
Hey, would you look at those pictures?
Gaze upon them, our noble family. Sir Gerald de Canterville, proud skipper of the frigate Cranston. When she sank, he was the first to leave the ship. Sir Andrew de Canterville, he saw a grenadier lose a finger at Blenheim battle and swooned away. And the blessed twins, Lieutenant Paul rode the wrong way in the charge of the Light Brigade. Lieutenant Peter was 10 lengths ahead of him.
You mean they were all cowards?
All aye. Of all the heroic families that for centuries have brightened the glory of England, ours had to be a brood of lily-livered titmice.
So that's why you held out. You thought if I found out I'd be the same way.
Oh, nay, not at all. It never entered my mind.
Well, then what are you making all the fuss about? I don't care what the others did. This is Cuppy Williams, see?
Aye, verily.
Well, all right, then. That's all I wanted to find out. I've got to get back to my bunk before the sergeant misses me.
Adieu, kinsman. Would that I could believe that he were different.
All
right, men, this is it. Start loading the trucks, battle equipment. Walker, look after dynamite plunger boxes, fuse and the wires. We're going over.
Okay, Sarge.
Williams, take off that ring. It'll shine in the dark.
Okay.
And don't stick it in your pocket if it's worth anything.
Well, it's sort of a family heirloom.
You better leave it in the castle. Make it snappy.
This is it, huh, Sarge?
I hadn't ought to tell you this, but you'll know soon enough. We're crossing the channel. We're making a raid on the coast of France. All right, let's go. Start bringing up the truck.
Cuffy, you're going away.
Looks like it, Lady Jessica.
And maybe you'll have a chance to do a brave deed. Maybe you'll save Sir Simon.
Listen, lady, I know there's a yellow streak down the family back a mile wide. Sir Simon told me.
But you're not going to let it worry you.
Well, how do you think it makes me feel?
Cuffy, you told me yourself you don't have to be afraid.
Yeah, I know.
Cuffy, I believe in you. And if you have any children of your own, I know they'll believe in you.
Children? I haven't any children. I haven't even got a wife.
Well, maybe you'll want to marry someday. Somebody.
Well, that's the last thing on my mind. Now lay off. I gotta get going.
Cuffy. Oh, Cuffy. Goodbye, Cuffy.
After the wars, our kinsman hies himself to battle.
Oh, Sir Simon.
Oh, there. Now, milady.
But I'm so worried about Cuffy.
Tears never steeled a noble heart to valor. Upon the craven foe, our hero's furious might will... You're worried. How do you think I feel?
Our stars, Margaret O'Brien, Charles Lawton, and Tom Drake, will continue with the Canterville Ghost in just a moment. Who are you phoning, Sally?
I'm getting a weather report. Have some blankets to wash soon.
But what's the weather got to do with it?
5 p.m., temperature 73 degrees, humidity 49%, tonight clear, lowest temperature about 64, tomorrow sunny and mild, highest temperature about 75 degrees, gentle to moderate winds. 5 p.m., temperature...
Of course, that isn't really how it will be all over the country tomorrow, but in lots of cities, you can get an up-to-the-hour weather report over the phone.
Will you please tell me what all this has to do with washing blankets?
Why, obviously, you need a good day for it. Not too hot, not too cold, not too windy.
Do women wash blankets in the middle of June?
That's the best time, before storing them away for the summer. Moths are particular. They don't like clean wool as well as soiled wool. So just whisk your blankets through rich, lukewarm Lux suds.
Hold on, Sally. I can't see a woman whisking a wet, heavy blanket through anything.
Oh, it's easy with Lux. Just make sure you have lots and lots of suds. The suds do the work.
Wouldn't a machine help?
Sure, if you're lucky enough to have one. But don't run the machine too long. That's as bad as rubbing. Too much agitation mats and shrinks the wool, leaves it harsh and scratchy. 3 to 5 minutes is about right for a machine. And use gentle Lux flakes so your blankets will stay soft and fluffy. Be sure to hang the blankets in the shade over 2 or 3 parallel lines. That way, the air can circulate through it, and the weight of the water won't pull it out of shape.
Thanks for the tip, Sally. You certainly deserve a B.A. for all that advice.
Bachelor of Arts?
No, blanket authority. Now back to Hunt Stromberg and our stars.
Act 3 of The Canterville Ghost, starring Margaret O'Brien as Lady Jessica, Charles Lawton as Sir Simon, and Tom Drake as Cuffy Williams. In the black of night, a handful of American Rangers have landed somewhere on the coast of France and are creeping stealthily inland. Back in England, the Canterville Ghost rages in the portrait gallery, bolstering his anemic hopes by hurling defiance at his ancestors.
Ye skulking, cringing, misbegotten peafowls, ye insults painted upon canvas, ye wretched poltroons, not for long now shall I have you leering at me with cynical mockery. Not for long, ye dribble pussies. A kinsman worthy of the name now wears my signet ring in battle.
Meanwhile, in the cottage on the castle grounds, a sleepless Lady Jessica bolsters her hopes in the way most mortals do.
Please take care of Cuffy, Lord. Don't let him get hurt. And Uncle Simon, he's such a poor, funny old ghost. And he's so tired. Please let Cuffy do a brave deed for him so he can go to sleep at last. And please let Cuffy come back.
Ye gallery of lily-livered rabbits, ye shake-kneed milksops, well mayest thou cower in thy gilded frame, shamed by a colonial, by Cuffy Williams. As for thee, fat Algernon, who posed for 2 years as a dowager to escape fighting a duel, I spit in thine eye. Thee, Sir Percival, who fought through the 30 Years' War without firing a shot, thee also. From yonder bunk in yonder room has risen a lion-hearted kingsman. Yonder bunk. What gleams there in the moonlight? The ring, the signet ring. Imbecile, dolt, he hath forgotten it. I must speed to him before it's too late, before it's too late.
Okay, men. You're on enemy territory. Now remember, we're here for one purpose only. To blow up the oil refinery.
Right.
Refinery's got to go at 2350. Now check your watches. It's now 2307. Jordan, Baker, Williams.
Yes, sir.
Get off the road and set up the machine gun in the ditch. If you see any Jerry's, it's up to you to hold them off till the rest of us get back. Check?
Check.
Jordan, you'll find telephone wires down the road. Cut them and get back to Cuffy and Trigger. Now get going.
Okay, Sarge. See you later, kid.
The rest of us will go up this side road. Now, after the explosion, wait till the last man has reached the shore. Then join us.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and good luck.
Cuffy.
Yeah?
There's a hill right in back of us. Get up there and keep watch.
What about you?
I'll set up the machine gun. If you see anything, get back here on the double.
Okay. Who's that? Who's there? Hold or I'll fire.
Spare your bullets, kinsman. 'Tis only I.
Oh, what the devil are you doing
You
here?
forgot the ring. You left it in the castle. Here, nephew.
Get away from me.
Put it in thy pocket. Only have it on thy person when the test comes.
All right, give it here.
Oh, thank you, nephew. Thinkest thou the enemy will come this way?
That isn't what's worrying you.
Oh, plague take it, man. With but half an eye, one can see that thou hast the courage of St. George.
Horse feathers, get out of here, will you?
I merely thought I could bolster you up in case you were a bit squeamish.
I want to be squeamish.
Hey, Cuffy.
Yeah?
You all right?
Sure. What time is it?
2350.
Who dost thou converse with?
Look, Sir Simon, I thought I told you to scram.
Sounds. What mighty blast is that?
The refinery, they've blown it up.
Nephew, look, down yonder road.
Motorcycles. Jerry's.
Keep a cool head. Keep a cool head. Keep a cool head.
Trigger! Motorcycles, a patrol! Get down here and hold the ammunition belt.
Keep a cool head. Keep a cool head.
Get out of here. Beat it! Huh? Oh, nothing. Look, Trigger, Jerry's, lots of them. What are you waiting for?
Nothing.
Trigger, what's the matter? What's the matter?
Looks like you gotta take over, Cuffy.
Trigger.
Cuffy. Get him, Cuffy. Get him. The machine gun. Jordan, be back soon. To hell.
Yeah, Jordan.
Fire, nephew. Fire. Nephew.
Blood. Trigger's blood.
Nephew, they're drawing closer. Fire!
Blood.
Cuffy, what's the matter with you?
Trigger's dead.
Get out of there. Give me that machine gun. Give me it, you fool.
At ease, men. Well, I'm in the colonel's compliments, and after last night's raid, he wants me to tell you we're the best so-and-so platoon in the whole outfit. But I'm not satisfied. So we're going to take a little jaunt into these woods and iron out the mistakes we made right now. Williams.
Yes, sir.
Here a minute.
Yes, sir.
All right, Chris.
Williams, I've discussed your case with the colonel. We both considered what happened last night, and he feels that we have no alternative but to transfer you back to your old outfit.
Yes, sir.
Line up there.
Now, remember, Williams, there are many men who may be psychologically unfit for combat who can still perform useful roles in service. Now, pack up your things. I'll arrange for your transfer when we get back from maneuvers.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Good luck, Williams.
The platoon is formed.
All right, Sergeant.
Left. Face. Right shoulder. Turn.
Forward! Hurt!
Cuffy, I've been expecting you all morning. What happened?
Oh, you'd better run along home, lady. I've got to go in and pack.
You're going away?
Yeah.
Oh, Cuffy.
That's right. Look at me. I'm a Canterville, all right. Just as cowardly as the rest of them.
Don't say that. You're not a coward. You're brave. I know it. I know it.
All right, lady. Have it your own way.
Cuffy.
I'm sorry it turned out like this. Goodbye, lady.
Oh, Cuffy.
Wretched me that I should have pinned my faith again upon a Canterville.
Oh, pipe down, Sir Simon, will you? And get down off that chandelier. It makes me nervous.
Nervous, aye, that I well believe.
Oh, shut up. Get on. I've got to pack.
Pack, then, and leave me to my fate. Thou who hast raised my hopes only to dash them like a robin on a rock of granite.
Cuffy.
Oh, milady, you can't come in here. I know it's your castle, but... well, this is barracks.
Cuffy, there's a parachute. I saw it coming down.
Parachute?
Maybe a Nazi came down in it. Oh, Cuffy, what'll we do?
Well, where did you see it?
On this side of the stone bridge.
Where is the stone bridge?
Do you know the old side road?
No.
Then I'll take you there. I know a shortcut.
All right, come on. No, wait. Where's my rifle? All right, come on. We'll grab a jeep. Hurry.
There it is, Cuffy. The parachute.
Yeah, caught in a tree. I don't see anybody, but you'd better stay here. I'm going to look around. Duck down in the jeep. Keep down now.
Cuffy, look over there.
Huh?
All through our woods. Those men. Who are they?
Oh, don't worry about them. They're rangers. Maneuvers. Yeah, that's where I'd be if I hadn't...
Cuffy, what is it?
In the bushes. A parachute mine, a bomb, a blockbuster. Oh, let's get out of here, lady. That thing goes off, it'll kill every living thing within a half a mile. We gotta get... Oh, the rangers. They're scattered all through the woods. They'll be killed. Get back to the castle. Quick, run.
Aren't you coming?
No, I've got to drag it away with a jeep. Dump it over the cliff. Get going. Run now. Run. Hide in the cellar. Run!
Lady Jessica?
Oh, Uncle Simon.
Where's Cuffy? Has he encountered the enemy?
Oh, no. Cuffy's moving the blockbuster. He's doing the bravest deed there ever was.
Egad, darest I believe again? Where?
This way. Down through here. There.
Oh, save thy breath, child. Look to his quaking knees, his eyes that tremble with the ague, his hand that shrinks from contact with yon lethal instrument, the portrait of a Canterville.
No, Uncle, no. Cuffy. Cuffy, you're not afraid. You're not.
I can't. I can't touch it. There's a timer on it. The least little jar would set it ticking. Well...
Cuffy, you were doing a brave deed. Don't you see? You can do it. You don't have to be afraid because you're a Canterville. Look, Cuffy, I'm not afraid of the bomb. Look, Cuffy, I'm kicking it. Look, Cuffy, look, I'm not afraid.
That sounds... it's ticking. You started it ticking.
Okay, lady. Thanks for the lesson. I'm all right now. You run for it. Go on, get out of here. This thing goes off in 60 seconds.
Oh, Cuffy.
Hurry, I'm dragging this thing out of here. Go on, get out of my way, milady. Run for it.
Careful, nephew, careful.
Hop in, Uncle. Keep your eye on the tow chain. Let me know if it slips. Well, we're out of the underbrush. Hold on now.
Oops! Egad. Nephew, look out, the Rangers.
Hey, you Rangers, run for your lives. I got a blockbuster on here. A time bomb. Run, blockbuster!
Oops! Ouch! Where are we going, nephew?
To the cliff. We'll dump it in the ravine if we get that far.
How many more seconds?
I don't know, maybe 20.
5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11.
There's the ravine. We better jump. Let the jeep take it over. There she goes! Well, we made it.
27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35.
Hey, what's all this hooey about ticking? Oh, it's a dud. We never were in any danger. All that work for...
Auntie. Oh, Jessica, dear, thank goodness you're all right. It must have been an air raid.
No, it was Cuffy.
Cuffy?
Near the stone bridge. A bomb from a parachute. Cuffy blew it up. Cuffy saved everyone. And if Cuffy blew it up, then he's blowing up, too.
Roll out the barrels, we'll have a barrel of fun. Roll out the barrels, we've got the blues on the run.
Cuffy!
Ring out a song of good cheer. Now's the time to roll the barrels, for the gang's all here.
Cuffy, you're alive. What happened?
Happened? I just dumped that cockeyed thing right into the ravine.
Like St. George slaying the cockeyed dragon.
What's your Simon?
What, child?
If Cuffy's a Canterville, and if Cuffy did a brave deed for you, then why are you still here?
Yeah. Why aren't you in the garden beyond the pine woods?
Yea, verily. Why not?
Well, if you're going, you better hurry up. Here come the Rangers.
Father! Why am I still in mortal coils?
Look, Uncle Simon's glowing.
Hey, Sarge, Lieutenant, look, the ghost.
Thank you, nephew. Thank you, niece. Farewell.
He's gone.
Did you see that, Lieutenant?
Yeah, that's what we've been trying to... Hey, Lieutenant! Hey, guys, the Louis is fainted.
Here it is, Uncle Simon's grave.
The garden beyond the pine woods. It looks mighty restful here.
Isn't it nice that he can have a little plot to call his own? And a headstone of his own, too.
Well, that was the Ranger's idea. We had it inscribed, see? Sir Simon de Canterville, 1603-1943. Gee, that's a long time to go without sleep.
Yes, but you nearly always have to wait for something that you want very much, Cuffy. How old are you?
How old? Why?
I shall be 8 in May.
Our stars, Charles Lawton, Margaret O'Brien, and Tom Drake, return for their curtain calls in just a moment. Meanwhile, here are Patty and Kay planning their vacation.
Oh, I don't think you'd like that place, Patty, even if it is so nearby. I was there last summer, and it was awfully noisy.
Oh, but it sounds good. Beach, tennis, dancing every night.
Well, that's just the trouble. It's right near a Coast Guard station, and the boys come over to the dances. And sometimes everybody ends up singing. It's impossible to get any sleep.
Why, Kay, you sound like an old fuss budget. I thought you liked dancing.
Well, there were more girls than fellows, and...
Well, a little thing like that shouldn't stop a cute gal like you, unless...
What?
Oh, skip it. I forgot what I was going to say.
Patty,
have you seen the new movie at Proctor's?
Patty didn't forget what she had in mind, but how could she tell Kay what she was really thinking?
Kay's cute enough to get any man she wants. If only she were as sweet and fresh as she looks. But you just can't tell even your best friend that she's careless about daintiness. If I could only give her a hint about luxing underthings after every wearing, luxing her dresses and blouses often. If I could tell her how fresh and sweet it leaves them, then she wouldn't risk offending. She'd have all the fun she deserves.
Gentle Lux Care does protect daintiness, and it's kind to fabrics, too. Keeps lovely underthings new-looking 3 times as long. Don't use hot water, strong soap, or handle nice things roughly. That kind of treatment makes them look faded and drab far too soon. Lux is thrifty care. Here's Hunt Stromberg and our stars.
Back to our footlights come Margaret O'Brien and Tom Drake, along with the ex-phantom of our cast, Charles Lawton, now very much in the flesh.
Must you put it quite that way, very much in the flesh, I think.
Well, actually, Charles, you look as if you'd lost a little weight.
Lost a little weight? No, it's around here somewhere.
Well, Mr. Lawton, you carried plenty of weight as a ghost, didn't he, Margaret?
Mr. Lawton's my favorite ghost.
Have you ever met a real ghost, Margaret?
No, but I'd like to.
I think you would, Margaret. There's no reasons why ghosts shouldn't be highly useful citizens.
But rather expendable in wartime, wouldn't you say, Mr. Lawton?
No, there might be lots of useful things a ghost could do in wartime. Frighten the enemy.
Give a pint of blood to the Red Cross?
Well, I'm not so sure of that. Ghosts haven't much to spare.
Well, they could give their clanking chains and creaking armor to the scrap drive.
Maybe they could sell war bonds.
Right, Margaret. They could promote the sale of war bonds over a ghost-to-ghost network.
Wouch. Or indirectly by haunting the conscience of individuals so chicken-hearted as to not to buy their fullest share.
Do you buy war bonds, Margaret?
That's how I spend all my money.
Well, you couldn't find a better way to spend it. And if you go to see Tom Drake in Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer's This Man's Navy, you'll get an idea of where your money's going in building the greatest navy in the world, about to meet its greatest test in history.
Well, I don't think any of us need too much persuading to buy war bonds, Mr. Stromberg.
Tell us, what are you going to have in this theater next week?
Next Monday night, we bring you one of the most talked-of dramas of the year, The Woman in the Window, starring Edward G. Robinson, Joan Bennett, and Dan Duryea. If you ever felt sympathy for a murderer, you will in this gripping story of a man who is trapped to kill in self-defense and teams with a woman to conceal their crime from the police.
Well, for sheer suspense, I don't think I know any more exciting play than The Woman in the Window.
We'll be listening, Mr. Stromberg. Good night.
Good night. Good night, Margaret. All our thanks. Our sponsors, the makers of Lux Flakes, join me in inviting you to be with us again next Monday night when the Lux Radio Theater presents Edward G. Robinson, Joan Bennett, and Dan Duryea in The Woman in the Window. This is Hunt Stromberg saying good night from Hollywood.
The Canterville Ghost was presented through the courtesy of Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, producers of the Technicolor musical Anchors Aweigh. Hunt Stromberg's next picture will be Young Widow, starring Jane Russell. Charles Lawton will soon be seen in the Benedict Boge's picture, Captain Kidd. Heard in tonight's cast were Eric Snowden, Boyd Davis, Claire Verdera, Ed Emerson, Gerald Moore, Gloria Gordon, Eddie Marr, Clifton Young, Robert Cole, Charles Seal, and Norman Field. Our music was directed by Louis Silvers. This program is broadcast to our fighting forces overseas through cooperation with the Armed Forces Radio Service. And this is your announcer, John M. Kennedy, reminding you to tune in again next Monday night to hear The Woman in the Window with Edward G. Robinson, Joan Bennett, and Dan Duryea.